Chapter 799. Chapter 799, Assassination Immortal God. Haha, the experts of our immortal sect have come out. Just wait for your death. The hundreds of disciples in the array looked around and saw the experts of the immortal sect flying out one after another. Their faces were filled with excitement. They raised their heads and stared coldly at Mo Qinglong and the others. Their faces were filled with pride. A bunch of idiots. Mo Yuan's eyes revealed a trace of disdain. He stretched out his arm and directly became 3 meters in size. The terrifying devil dragon claw directly attacked towards the formation. Ping! The terrifying force caused waves of ripples on the formation. If an infant realm expert wanted to break it, it would at least take a few minutes. Even if more than 10 infant realm experts attacked at the same time, they would be able to hold on for more than 10 seconds. You still dare to be arrogant? Just wait to be slaughtered by the experts of our immortal sect. A young man's expression was slightly malevolent as he stared at Devil Abyss and said coldly, "What? What's going on?" However, at this moment, the terrified and shocked voices of his companions came from beside him. Ping ping ping. At the same time, the sound of heavy objects falling onto the ground was heard. The young man turned his head around with a face full of shock, and was instantly dumbstruck. Those peak experts of their immortal sect, terrifying existences at the infant stage, had actually landed heavily on the road. Their bodies had already lost their vitality, and had already become corpses. Corpses. This caused everyone's faces to reveal an expression of shock, and their eyes were wide open as they stared at the corpses on the ground in disbelief. 50 corpses were thrown neatly in the middle of the road. Their eyes were wide open as if they were filled with disbelief. No, this is impossible, this is impossible. Elder and Deacon, how could this be? How could this be? They felt as if their scalps had exploded and their eyes were filled with fear. 50 infant realm experts, the most powerful existences in their immortal sect. Yesterday, a group of deacons and elders had been lying in ambush in the surroundings, waiting for the dragon gate to appear. Each infant realm expert lay in ambush at a distance of only 500 meters. 50 infant realm experts lay in ambush on both sides of the road. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that an area of 10 kilometers was within their control. To the infant realm experts, they could clearly see even a mosquito. However, the 50 infant realm experts who were lying in ambush were actually turned into corpses. When were they killed? They didn't know. They also didn't know when they died. However, looking at their fresh blood, they definitely hadn't died long ago. Just died not long ago? There were immortal gods watching this place in the sacred city. In other words, there were absolutely no immortal god-level experts participating. Without the immortal gods taking action, they actually killed 50 of their infant stage experts without anyone noticing. How terrifying was this? Come, continue to shout arrogantly. Mo Yuan looked at the over 100 disciples of the 2 great immortal sects in the formation and stared at them with a face full of ridicule. You guys. No, I don't believe it. The hundreds of disciples inside the formation still couldn't believe what they were seeing. Their bodies were trembling. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, terrifying attacks came one after another. Ripples appeared on the formation. Soon, cracks appeared on it. What's going on? The disciples of the immortal sects who were watching the show widened their eyes and couldn't help but exclaim. The situation just now was obviously a trap set by the 2 immortal sects of the Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine, waiting for the arrival of the Dragon Gate. If the powerhouses of the Dragon Gate came, they would be directly ambushed and killed. If they didn't come, they could also kill the spirit of the Dragon Gate. It was the best of both worlds. However, the corpses that were thrown out one by one. At the beginning, they were like the disciples of the 2 great immortal sections. They thought that the experts of the ambush were going to make a move, and then the experts of the 2 great immortal sects who flew over in strange postures actually landed heavily on the ground. They were just corpses. The experts of the Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine immortal sect who were ambushed in the surroundings were actually killed. Moreover, there were a total of 50 infant realm experts. This was the 50th place. The immortal sect that was ranked in the bottom 10 didn't even have 50 infant realm experts. Yet today 50 of them died in one go. This was too terrifying. The Saint Medicine immortal sect lost 50 infant realm experts. Moreover, they were ambushed in advance. This was simply a complete defeat. Ka ka ka. Right at this moment, the sound of the formation breaking could be heard. Along with the sounds of terror, despair and trembling, more than 100 disciples of the two great immortal sects could be heard. The spectators behind them pursed their lips and widened their eyes. Just a moment ago, these 100 or so people were arrogantly shouting for the people of the Dragon Gate to come and kill this young master. Now it had come true. How can this be? In the sacred city, the elders and deacons of the Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine Immortal sect stared with wide eyes. Their eyes were about to pop out of their sockets as they stared at Cheng Wei in disbelief. Just now, when they were about to fly over to support Cheng Wei, they discovered that the experts of their immortal sect had already turned into corpses. At that moment, their bodies trembled a little. They knew better than anyone else how secretive and safe the experts lying in ambush around were. As long as one person was attacked, everyone else would be able to discover it immediately. However, they were actually killed, which made them feel terrified. The death of 50 infant realm experts would directly cause them to lose 40% of their strength. Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, you dare to destroy our Dragon Gate forging workshop and kill our Dragon Gate members. Our Dragon King said that only one of us will survive. Now you can wait to die. Mo Qinglong waved his arm, and wisps of demonic qi directly controlled over 100 disciples of the two immortal sections. Wisps of demonic qi bound their necks and suspended them in the air. He slowly walked toward the holy city of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. With a wave of his other hand, the bodies of the 50 infant realm experts on the road were also directly controlled into the sky. Save me, Elder, save us. Save us, we don't want to die. More than 100 young disciples had terrified expressions on their faces as they shouted loudly. Dragon Gate, all of you deserve to die. On the city wall, a group of 50 to 60 infant realm experts from the two great immortal gates were floating in the air. Their eyes were blood red as they roared loudly. They stared at the corpse that was floating in the air and clenched their fists tightly. But now they didn't dare to go out. They really didn't dare to rashly charge out. 50 infant realm experts were directly killed, causing them to feel a chill down their spines. Haha, we've said before that this is only the beginning. Just you wait, the end result of provoking our Dragon Gate will be destruction. Mo Qinglong and the group of Draconids fearlessly arrived 1,000 meters away from the city gate and arrogantly laughed out loud. Chapter 800. Chapter 800, In the Assassination of the Immortal God 1. Bang bang bang. Awe. The sounds of attacks and screams resounded through the city gates of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. Under the gazes of the experts from the two immortal sects, the bait they had sent out was directly killed. The corpses of the infant realm experts were directly smashed onto the ground. Humiliation, naked humiliation. Even if the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect destroyed the Dragon Gate forging workshop, it didn't cause such humiliation. Back then, the members of the Dragon Gate fought to the death. Even if they knew they were going to die, they still fought. But now, it was the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the other two immortal sections. They just stood in the city and watched this scene. Boom, boom, boom. At this instant, terrifying figures appeared in the sky. Violent flames and exploding wood filled the entire sky. The clouds in the sky that were 1,000 meters high instantly turned into burning clouds that were completely red. 5 figures floated in the sky. Their eyes were filled with a crazed killing intent as they stared at the people from the Dragon Gate with bloodthirsty eyes. The prelude to the war has begun. I hope you can endure it. Ao Jian's figure appeared in the void far away. He stared at the 5 immortals from the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, his face filled with coldness. One day we will kill all of you with our own hands. The elder in the middle, dressed in fiery red clothes, stared at Ao Jian with a cold expression. Let's wait and see. Ao Jian replied indifferently. Let's go. Holy Medicine Sect, from today onwards, all of you will hide in the city. Once you come out, you will die. Mo Qinglong laughed maniacally and his voice spread throughout the entire holy city. More than 30 Draconids slowly walked away with their heads held high. The person who killed you then left in a carefree manner. This made everyone from Holy Medicine Immortal Sect extremely embarrassed. Just how terrifying will the strength of the Dragon Gate be? In the future, which immortal sect will dare to provoke the Dragon Gate? Holy Medicine Immortal Sect has lost. The immortal sect that was arrogant yesterday, from today onwards, I wonder if they still dare to leave the city gates. From today onwards, the dragon sect will be famous throughout the martial arts world. No one will dare to provoke them. They are almost comparable to the Xianyuan clan and the Yuan clan. Not far away, the disciples of the immortal sect who were watching the show were filled with astonishment as they watched the dragon sect's powerhouse fly away. Their eyes were filled with shock. Dragon King Ao Jian and the rest of the people of the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine Immortal Sect greeted Wang Xian respectfully from a position 20 kilometers away. Very good. We will continue to stand guard here. Once the disciples of their sect dare to come out, we will kill them immediately. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. 50 infant realm experts wanted to ambush the surroundings of the road. To Wang Xian this was simply courting death. To the strange demons they were like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. 50 infant realm experts were easily killed by the strange demons without anyone noticing. It's the Dragon King. The group of draconids nodded respectfully. In this battle, even the 70 members of the Golden Swordfish clan didn't make a move. In this situation, it won't be long before Nine Hui breaks through. Wang Xian raised his head slightly with a smile on his face. Just like the declaration of the Dragon Palace, anyone who offended the Dragon Palace would be killed. The first battle of the Dragon Palace would be sacrificed by the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. Mo Qinglong and the strange demon went into hibernation again, waiting for the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect to come out. At this moment, there was a huge commotion on the Jianghu website. The Holy Medicine Immortal Sect was killed by the Dragon Sect by 50 infant realm experts. The two immortal sects were defeated, and the Dragon Sect showed their terrifying strength. In the morning they even shouted that the children of the Dragon Gate would come and kill us. However, in just a few hours they were all killed and 50 infant realm experts died. These are 50 infant realm experts and they were ambushed in the surroundings, yet they were killed by the Dragon Gate unknowingly. How is this possible? How did the Dragon Gate do it? Just how strong is the Dragon Gate? The experts of the Dragon Palace must have arrived. The Jianghu internet was in an uproar. The originally arrogant Holy Medicine Immortal Sect was completely silent. Now, it seems that the Dragon Gate has blocked the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect city gate. Once they come out they might be killed. At this moment, all the disciples of the Immortal Sect realized that the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect could only hide inside the city gate. They once launched a sneak attack on the Dragon Gate forging workshop, but now they've been beaten into dogs. These two immortal sects are so disgraceful. Some mocking voices were heard, causing the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect to feel extremely aggrieved when they saw these posts. However, they had no other choice. They could only reply with an angry expression. If it weren't for the Immortal God Agreement, the Dragon Gate would have been destroyed by us long ago. Without the agreement between the immortals and gods, the Dragon Gate would have been destroyed long ago. The disciples of the two immortal sects could only comfort themselves on the Jianghu website. The east gate of the sacred city was still open, but no one dared to walk out of the gate. The two immortal sects were completely helpless. 50 infant realm experts were killed. Their strength was no longer enough to fight against the Dragon Gate. In this situation, it was tantamount to admitting defeat. Without the help of the immortal gods, they killed 50 infant realm experts without anyone knowing. It seems that there are many terrifying creatures in the Dragon Palace. In the Chaos Origin Immortal Sect, the three immortal gods looked at each other with fear in their eyes. Even the immortal gods couldn't do anything about the terror of those creatures. They were glad that they did not fight to the death back then. Otherwise, they would be in a much worse situation than the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal Sect. In fact, the entire Immortal Sect would be destroyed. Just as all the immortal sects were discussing about the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal Sect, a strange battle began to erupt in the Xiading region. Wang Xian led a group of members of the Dragon Palace to the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal Sect while Ao Yao led a group of strange demons to the Xiading region. There were two great immortals in the Xiading region. One was the Strange Thorn Tribe and the other was the Wild Beast Immortal Sect. The Wild Beast Immortal Sect was extremely powerful and could be ranked in the top 5. The Strange Thorn Tribe was not to be underestimated either. 1,000 years ago, they were a terrifying assassin organization that walked in the dark. The strength of the Strange Thorn Tribe lay in their assassinations. No one dared to provoke a terrifying assassin organization because one would not know when one would die if they provoked them. The crafty Thorn clan possessed the most powerful concealment technique of all the immortal sections. To strike with a single strike and flee into the distance, this was the description of the crafty Thorn clan. On the surface, the crafty Thorn clan had 3 immortal gods and 1 god, but it was unknown whether they had any hidden strength. The number of infant stage experts was unknown, and so was the number of Dan stage experts. Their base was located within a small city in Xiading. Although it was called a small city, it was actually just a small town. There weren't many people within. Most of them were wearing a shadow robe and were extremely mysterious. Have you gathered all the information? Leader, we've gathered all the information in 1 day. Then let's begin. Thorn clan, let our strange demon clan challenge you. Chapter 801. Chapter 801. Assassinating the Immortal God. The sun was high in the sky, and the small town of the treacherous Spike clan was deserted. All the houses were tightly shut. There weren't many pedestrians on the streets. As the treacherous Spike clan, they usually rested during the day and came out to take action at night. The treacherous Spike clan cultivated the dark attribute, and their combat strength in the dark far surpassed that of the day. Their assassinations would often be carried out in the dark. The strange Thorn clan in the dark was incomparably terrifying. The strange demons hid in the void, staring coldly at a black mountain peak in front of them. Black demonic chi surrounded the mountain peak, making it seem eerie and terrifying. That was the place where the strange demon clan's immortal gods cultivated. Naturally, they would not assassinate the immortal gods. Instead, they would prevent the strange Thorn clan's immortal gods from discovering them. Ao Yao stood there quietly. 70 strange demons had already entered the strange Thorn tribe and started to assassinate them. The strange demons who had special skin and cultivated the divine light dragon transformation were the kings of assassinations. Even the immortal gods would find it very difficult to sense the strange demons of the infant realm. Only when the strange demons of the same level appeared would they be able to see clearly and discover them. The strange Thorn clan would never have thought that an assassin would openly enter their lair and assassinate them during the day. As the strongest assassin clan in the pugilistic world, he would never have thought that. Ah, there's a demon. Time slowly passed. After an hour, a terrified scream came from the center of the town. The scream instantly spread to a radius of more than 10 kilometers. Ah. Soon another scream came. Ao Yao frowned slightly and shouted, "Go!" Ripples appeared in the air, and the whole town was woken up. From the back of the town, black-robed assassins of the strange Thorn clan walked out. "We are the strange demon clan of the Dragon Palace, the strange Thorn clan. Please give us your guidance in the future." At this moment, a cold voice came from the air, echoing throughout the entire Xiading region. The strange demon's voice echoed with the screams just now, startling the entire strange Thorn clan and the Mad Beast clan. The screams and the immortal god's voice. Everyone was slightly startled. One immortal god after another flew out of the gate of immortality, especially the strange Thorn tribe's immortal gods. 3 immortal gods dressed in black robes appeared in the sky above the small town, looking towards the direction of the sound. Below, the members of the strange Thorn tribe came to the road of the small town. They looked towards the immortal gods in the sky and bowed respectfully. "The smell of blood is very strong." A strange Thorn immortal god's voice was somewhat hoarse. He looked down and his face, which was covered by black robe, was somewhat embarrassed. "Black robe, what's wrong?" A golden bird, half a meter in size, was emitting a resplendent golden light. Beside it were 2 burly old men. The one who spoke was the golden bird. Because the strange Thorn clan and the Wild Beast clan were in the same Xiading, their relationship could be considered quite good. The golden bird was somewhat similar to the golden bird from the school of imperial beasts. They looked over in confusion. "Someone broke into our Thorn clan." An old man in the middle revealed a pair of slightly red eyes. His gaze was fixed on the road below. There were only over 100 members of the Thorn clan gathered there. This gave them a bad premonition. "Disciples of the Thorn clan, come over here." A Thorn immortal god shouted softly. The dignity and voice of the immortal god directly covered the entire town. However, what made them feel embarrassed was that there was no movement. Other than the group of Thorn disciples on the road, there was no movement at all. This? The 3 immortal gods of the Wild Beast immortal sect looked at this scene in astonishment. The strange Thorn clan was completely nurturing their disciples as assassins. The loyalty of each disciple could reach 100%. It was impossible for them not to come out under the orders of the immortal god experts. However, other than the 100-odd members of the Strange Thorn clan, the entire town was filled with a deathly stillness and a bloody stench. One of the Strange Thorn clan's immortal gods waved his arm, and the buildings below were overturned one by one, revealing the scenes inside. Hiss. The pupils of the 6 immortal sects could not help but shrink, and their faces revealed an embarrassed and solemn expression. In the houses, on the beds and on the sofas, there were numerous assassins from the Thorn clan. The number of members of the Thorn clan was very small to begin with, only 1 to 2,000 in total. But now there were only 100 or so people standing on the road. The atmosphere fell silent, and the 3 immortal gods from the Thorn clan trembled slightly. It's the Dragon King. An immortal god from the Wild Beast Immortal sect said with a solemn face. The immortal god in the void just now said that they are members of the Dragon Palace's Spiky Demon clan. A few days ago, you assassinated members of the Dragon Gate and destroyed the Dragon Gate forging workshop. An immortal god next to them glanced at the 3 spiky immortal gods, and his eyes flickered with a solemn face. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace of the Dragon Gate, cough cough. The black figure in the middle looked into the distance and slowly closed his eyes. We admit defeat. A slightly bitter voice sounded, and the immortal gods of the Strange Thorn clan felt a little powerless. Yesterday, 50 nascent realm experts of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect were killed, and the 2 immortal sects didn't dare to leave the city gate now. Now, when the Dragon Gate was dealing with the 2 immortal sects, they were actually able to spare some people to deal with the Strange Thorn clan. For an immortal sect that was good at assassination, 90% of the disciples of the immortal sect were assassinated. More than 20 infant realm members were directly killed, and 2 half-step immortal gods were also assassinated. What could they use to fight back? It was even uncertain whether the Dragon Gate would stop at this point. With such a terrifying assassination method, in addition to the immortal gods of the Dragon Gate and the Dragon Palace, the assassination clan was completely defeated. The power of the Dragon King is really too terrifying. While suppressing the 2 immortal gates, he was also able to take out his hand to assassinate the experts of the clan. With their strength, I'm afraid that even the Xin Yuan clan and the Yuan clan might not be his match. The immortal god of the Mad Beast clan looked at each other and said in a low voice, "Let's go. I believe that in the future, no immortal gate will dare to provoke the Dragon Gate." The immortal god of the Mad Beast clan left, and the strange demon in the void also left. He moved and led the strange demon toward the Holy Doctor Holy Medicine Immortal sect. On the same night, what happened to the Strange Thorn clan was reported on the Jianghu web, and the entire Jianghu was shocked again. As expected, the Dragon Palace is also the Dragon King's force. When the Dragon King led a group of experts to suppress them, the strange demon clan of the Dragon Palace almost exterminated the Strange Thorn clan. The Strange Thorn clan has kicked a metal board this time. The Dragon King's influence is too strong. It's really hard to imagine. The Strange Thorn clan is an assassin clan. Now, 90% of their disciples have been assassinated by the Strange Demon clan of the Dragon Palace. All the disciples of the Immortal sect were discussing in shock. The 2 Immortal sect disciples who received the news were even more terrified. While the disciples of the Immortal sect were discussing, Wang Xian was planning something. Assassinating the Immortal God. Chapter 802. Chapter 802, Ambushed and Attacked. The Holy Medicine Immortal sect and the treacherous Spike clan have thoroughly angered the Dragon King. Now, the disciples of the 2 immortal sects don't dare to leave the city gates. The treacherous Spike clan was almost completely exterminated. The treacherous Spike clan's immortal god announced that the mountain would be sealed for 10 years. Just how many immortal gods does the Dragon King have under his command? How many infant stage subordinates does he have? 100? 150? Or even more? It's very difficult for a single Dragon Gate to suppress the 3 great immortal sects, even for the Xinyuan clan and the Yuan clan. On the Jianghu website, the battle between the Dragon Gate and the 3 great immortal sects had exceeded the expectations of all the disciples of the immortal sections. In particular, the strength that the Dragon Gate had displayed had shocked everyone even more. At the moment, the disciples of the 2 great immortal sects did not dare to leave the city. Even if there were matters that needed to be dealt with, the immortal gods would personally lead a team to prevent the Dragon Gate powerhouses from attacking. This made the disciples of the two immortal sects extremely aggrieved. We clearly have the strength to destroy the Dragon Gate, but because of the restrictions of the Immortal God agreement, we are simply too aggrieved. If the Immortal God can make a move, we will definitely teach the Dragon Gate a lesson. That's right, the damn Immortal God agreement has forced us into a corner. We, the Immortal God, disregard the agreement and still want to destroy the Dragon Gate. The disciples of the two great immortal sects were venting their anger on the pugilistic world. However, many of the other disciples of the immortal sects were replying with a hint of mockery. Even without the immortal sect agreement, the immortal gods of your two great immortal sects might not necessarily be a match for the Dragon Gate. They have nearly 10 immortal gods and at least 2 gods. What about you? Only 3 gods. There's not much of a suppression. Right now, the disciples of the two immortal sects can only brag on the pugilistic world's internet. They don't even dare to go out. The winner takes all. There was no shortage of people on the internet who would beat up a drowning dog. When the disciples of the two immortal sects saw their replies, they almost vomited blood. Even the faces of the infant stage experts of the immortal sects turned black. Time passed slowly and half a month passed very quickly. Let's give it a try. We can't keep closing the city gate and see if there are any experts of the Dragon Gate guarding outside. How great would it be if the immortals and gods could make a move? In the early morning, several elders of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect said to the 10 or so young disciples in front of them. The eyes of the 10 or so elders were filled with fear. They gulped and said, "It's the elders." The elders were all white-haired. They were disciples of the Immortal sect and did not have many years of lifespan. Now, they could only send them out to see if the experts of the Dragon Gate were still lying in ambush. Originally, the Immortal God could scan the surroundings to see if there were any experts of the Dragon Gate lying in ambush. However, the appearance of the strange demon race made the Immortal God feel helpless. It was very difficult for the Immortal God to find the members of the Dragon Gate who had terrifying concealment techniques. Therefore, they could only use people to go out and investigate. This was also the most helpless choice of the two immortal sections. Let's go. More than 10 elders walked out. They looked at their surroundings with fear and trepidation as they walked forward. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this moment, figures flew over one by one. Terrifying sword rays directly slashed towards them. Boom. However, before the golden swordfish's attack could reach them, a terrifying flame appeared in front of the dozen or so elders, forming a huge flaming hand. The huge flaming hand wrapped around the dozen or so people, protecting them as they returned to the city gates. Following that, terrifying figures flew towards the golden swordfish. After flying for more than 10 kilometers, they stared coldly at the 20 or so golden swordfish standing there. The expressions of the 3 immortal gods changed drastically. They were very strong and wanted to kill them directly, but with the agreement between the immortal gods, their hearts were filled with fear. They still did not dare to openly violate the agreement between the immortal gods. The 3 of them took a deep breath with ugly expressions and headed directly toward the Immortal Gate. Bang! It's been half a month and the people from the Dragon Gate have actually been waiting here for half a month. Damn it, damn it. On the peak covered by plants, an immortal god could no longer hold back his anger and roared. The other 13 immortal gods also had ugly expressions on their faces. They were not afraid of the Dragon Gate's strength at all, but now they were actually forced to hide in the Immortal Gate. Not to mention the disciples of the Immortal Gate, even the immortal gods had ugly expressions on their faces. If there's no agreement between the immortal gods, I'll kill them. The sect masters of the 2 immortal sects were extremely gloomy as they shouted coldly. Wait a little longer. If they dare to block us for a month or 2, then we will take action no matter what. The facial muscles of the fat-faced old man in the middle twitched slightly as he said fiercely. If the disciples of the immortal sects can't go out, then what should we do when we buy supplies? No one dares to enter our holy city now, and neither do we dare to go out, but we have to deal with some things. An immortal god said with a gloomy face. At the moment, we can only lead a team out personally. The sect master of the Holy Doctor Celestial sect said with a gloomy face. The rest of the immortal gods nodded with a gloomy face. This was the only way. The immortal god was leading a team out to purchase supplies. It had to be said that this was a great irony. Dragon King, the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal God have started to lead a team out of the city. There has always been the protection of the Immortal God. Our people don't dare to make a move. Mo Qinglong came to Wang Xian's side and reported. It had been 3 days since the last test. In these 3 days, once someone from the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine and Immortal sect came out, there would definitely be an immortal god following them. The Draconids and Golden Swordfish didn't dare to make a move. This was because once they made a move, the immortal god would be able to make a move directly. After all, the immortal god agreement was an agreement between the immortal god and immortal god. The power of the immortal god could not be violated. Do you know how many immortals and gods are there? Wang Xian stood up slowly and said to Mo Qinglong while fiddling with the dagger in his hand. There's only one lower immortal. Mo Qinglong replied. Lower immortal? Where are you going? A cold look flashed across Wang Xian's eyes as he asked with a smile. There are a total of 2 immortals and gods leading a team out. One of them is going to Xia City while the other is going to the Yuan clan. They should be purchasing items. Mo Qinglong reported. The Yuan clan. Wang Xian flicked the dagger in his hand lightly and let out a crisp sound. The dagger was emitting a green color and was coated with a type of poison. It was a level 13 celestial artifact. With the full strength of a half-step celestial being, it could break the celestial being's defense. The Yuan clan is more than 1,000 kilometers away from the Holy Medicine celestial sect. If we make a move midway, the other celestials won't be able to rescue us in time. Ao Jian Ao Yao. Wang Xian looked to the side and shouted directly. Dragon King. Bring everyone. Let's go and kill the god. A hint of excitement flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. Ambushing immortals and assassinating immortals. He had this thought when the Holy Medicine sect closed the city gates and did not come out. Immortals were very powerful. Even a lower-level immortal would have terrifying power. However, 20 half-step immortal gods holding immortal god weapons and over 200 infant realm experts were more than enough to kill an immortal god. Chapter 803. Chapter 803, Ambush them. I told you, I will let your Holy Medicine immortal sect slowly walk towards destruction and fear. When the Holy Medicine immortal sect destroyed the Dragon Gate forging workshop and killed the group of Draconids, Wang Xian was already prepared for a long-term battle. Let alone a month, he could even play for 2 months in a year. Everything was waiting for the 9-headed Hui to break through. However, during this period of time, Wang Xian would not let them have a good time either. The disciples of the immortal sect did not dare to come out. Since the immortal god was leading the team, fine, then he would kill the immortal god. In the past few days, Wang Xian had forged more than 20 level 13 spirit weapon daggers. It was difficult for a half-step immortal god to break through the immortal god's defense with his sharp claws. However, a level 13 immortal god's weapon could. Moreover, the attacks launched by more than 200 infant stage powerhouses were enough to drown the immortal god. If the quality was not enough, the quantity would be sufficient. According to Wang Xian's estimation, 100 infant stage powerhouses and 20 half-step immortals were enough to easily destroy a lower immortal. Of course, the prerequisite was to be fully prepared. The return city was a 3rd-tier city, located next to the Yongchang region. Sir, the marriage between us and the Yuan clan has succeeded. It will be very beneficial to us in the future. Hee, the little fairy and that kid from the Yuan clan can be considered to be in love. The marriage this time is mainly to prepare for the future. My lord, if the Yuan clan is willing to help us, our 3 immortal sects will be enough to affect the agreement between the immortals and gods. At that time, my lord will directly destroy that damn Dragon Gate. On the way back to the city, a group of more than 100 people were walking on the road. Behind them was a special horse beast pulling boxes of items. Because entering the city they could only slow down. The group of Holy Medicine and Immortal sect immortals were talking with Fairy Hua and the other disciples. If the Dragon Gate evacuates them as soon as possible, then they still have a chance of survival. If they dare to oppose us, then the Dragon Gate will be destroyed. A cold look flashed across the middle-aged immortal god's eyes, followed by a faint smile on his face. The conversation with the Yuan clan this time was relatively smooth. If they could get the Yuan clan to speak up for them in the future, and if the Dragon Gate still dared to ambush around their immortal gate, then their immortal god would have to make a move. Those are the people from the Holy Medicine Immortal Gate. It's true. How dare the people from the Holy Medicine Immortal Gate go out now? No, there's an immortal god there. So there's an immortal god following them. Should keep your voice down. Don't let them hear you. The holy medicine immortal sect is too pitiful now. They even need an immortal god to escort them out. At this moment, sounds of conversation could be heard from the surroundings. The faces of the disciples of the holy medicine immortal sect stiffened, and an embarrassed expression appeared on their faces. Even the immortal god's expression was ice cold as he swept his gaze over them. Shut up. It won't be long before we teach that dragon gate a lesson. Fairy Hua and a few infant stage experts said with ice-cold expressions. The few passers-by not far away shrunk their heads and hurriedly left. Their strength was far from that of an infant stage expert. They were afraid that the other party would vent his anger on them. Damn Dragon Gate. Once we settle the matter of the Immortal God agreement, we will immediately destroy them. The disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect said with an unsightly expression. Boom, boom. At this moment the entire world suddenly changed color, and the originally clear sky instantly became irritable. Everyone in the city felt as if the sky was falling, and a situation that seemed like the end of the world suddenly appeared. From all directions of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, terrifying attacks instantly attacked. Dazzling and explosive golden light, demonic chi that was like an abyss, and terrifying power radiated throughout the entire city. Someone is ambushing us, courting death. Countless golden light and demonic chi shot towards the two immortal sect experts. The middle-aged immortal god instantly sensed it, and his expression turned cold. He actually dared to ambush an immortal god, courting death. Boom. He moved his arm and a fiery red staff appeared in his hand. Instantly, towering flames covered all of them. What? He actually dared to ambush us? He's courting death. Sir, kill them. Kill them. The expressions of the other disciples of the immortal sect changed drastically. As they felt the energy that was coming towards them, their eyes revealed a trace of fear. It was too terrifying. That energy that was like an ocean was definitely not something that an infant stage or even a half-step immortal god could withstand. Could it be that the immortal god was attacking them? Otherwise, how could there be such a terrifying attack? A group of infant realm experts actually dared to ambush me. They're courting death. The middle-aged immortal god's eyes shot out dense flames, and his entire body was like a god of fire. The flames rose as he roared. This. However, some of the surrounding martial artists almost wet their pants when they saw the terrifying attack that suddenly appeared. That energy that could almost destroy the world. That group of infant realm experts actually dared to attack the immortal god. The experts of the Dragon Gate actually dared to ambush the immortal god of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. At least 100 infant realm experts. Some of the surrounding disciples of the immortal sect had faces full of shock. The Dragon Gate's over 100 infant realm experts actually dared to besiege the immortal god. This was too fucking awesome. Boom boom boom. As if the attack was going to destroy the world, everyone in the city looked over. The attacks of more than 100 nascent realm experts collided with the fire defense of the middle-aged immortal god. The terrifying energy collided and extinguished the flames. The golden light dissipated, and the demonic chi disappeared. The full-strength attack of 100 nascent realm experts was only able to clash with the immortal god's attack. One could imagine how terrifying the immortal god was. Stupid thing, you actually dared to ambush the immortal god. The terrifying energy dissipated. The middle-aged immortal god swept his gaze around and roared with a face full of frost. All of you must die. He roared loudly and flames instantly rose from his body. Courting death. Courting death. Beside him, the two disciples of the immortal sect looked around excitedly. The infant realm experts dared to ambush the immortal god. This was something they had never expected. However, they had come to seek death. This was an opportunity for their immortal sect. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. However, at this moment, figures that were emitting white light appeared around the middle-aged immortal god. Numerous daggers that contained a terrifying aura directly attacked the middle-aged immortal god. What? Damn it. The middle-aged immortal god's expression changed slightly. He waved his hand and a terrifying flame directly blocked it. Bang! A terrifying collision occurred as the white shadow was sent flying. Pa. However, at the side, the terrifying white shadow's daggers landed on the flame defense on his body. The terrifying attacks instantly pierced through the flame defense. Cracks appeared. Scram. The middle-aged immortal god's body trembled as the terrifying power spread out in all directions. Ping ping ping. The 5 strange monsters were once again sent flying. All of you have to. The middle-aged immortal god was enraged. Flames danced in his eyes as he raised the staff in his hand. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. However, before he could finish speaking, terrifying white shadows appeared once more, and terrifying daggers once again pierced through. Chapter 804. Chapter 804, Immortal God Death. Continuous attacks. 100 infant realm experts released their strongest long-range attack. Following closely behind, the 6 half-step immortal god-level strange demons released their sharpest attacks. Terrifying attacks came one after another, especially when the strange demons held immortal god-level daggers in their hands. The terrifying penetration tore through the immortal god's defense. After the 6 half-step immortal god-level strange demons were repelled, 4 white figures appeared once again. They were still terrifying daggers and sharp attacks. This time, the middle-aged immortal god's defense had just been broken through. Do you think you can kill me just like that? The middle-aged immortal god's expression changed slightly. The surrounding flames instantly entered his body, and his entire body turned dark red. He contained a terrifying power like a human-shaped nuclear bomb. Bang, bang, bang. The 4 daggers landed on the middle-aged immortal god's body, and they emitted a sound like colliding rocks. However, the immortal god's weapon-grade daggers still entered the middle-aged immortal god's body. However, they only entered half an inch and didn't cause any harm. However, even so, the middle-aged immortal god was already bleeding. What was even more terrifying was that the daggers were coated with poison. Although it was only a grade 7 poison medicinal pill, it was still equivalent to receiving a full-strength attack from an infant-stage expert. The middle-aged immortal god's expression changed slightly. In a short instant, in less than 10 seconds, everyone around was stunned. The terrifying power and attack caused all the surrounding disciples of the immortal sect to roll and crawl far away. When they saw the attacks landing on the middle-aged immortal god's body, their faces revealed shocked expressions. Especially when the immortal god was bleeding and injured, they were even more shocked. That white shadow, every one of them has the strength of a half-step immortal god, and that terrifying dagger, they are all immortal god artifacts. An immortal sect expert widened his eyes and looked at the scene in front of him in shock. Besieging and killing an immortal god. This was besieging and killing an immortal god. Scram, scram. The middle-aged immortal god became irritable, and his face was extremely ferocious. He waved his arm, and like an unerupted volcano, he swung his body toward the 4 strange demons. Ping 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 ping. Even though the middle-aged immortal god specialized in long-range attacks, his immortal god-level fleshly body still caused the 4 strange monsters to fly backwards. The might of an immortal god was so terrifying. So. However, what shocked everyone was that when the 4 white figures flew backwards, another 5 white figures appeared. They were still terrifying daggers as they attacked the middle-aged immortal god's wide-open body. The middle-aged immortal god's expression changed. His eyes revealed a trace of fear and anxiety. Ping ping ping. Another 5 daggers landed on the middle-aged immortal god's arms, chest, back, waist, legs, chest, and back. This time, the daggers were directly embedded into his body. The middle-aged immortal god could not help but take 2 steps back. Die. He roared with a ferocious expression. Waves of blood accompanied by terrifying flames charged towards the strange monster. The powerful force instantly caused the 5 strange monsters to be heavily injured as they flew backwards. At the same time, his face was deathly pale. Stab. Stab. The attack was still not over. In the sky, a metallic cold sound rang out as rays of extreme metallic cold light shot out. From the front, back, left, right, and in the sky. The 5 half-step immortal god golden swordfish unleashed their strongest attack. Stab. They transformed into the golden swordfish's true form. From the outside they looked like metal longswords. The golden light of the long swords was restrained, and the terrifying energy contained within them condensed together. No. The 5 continuous waves of attacks finally caused the middle-aged immortal god's expression to change completely, and fear appeared on his face. Feeling the last 5 terrifying metal longswords, his body trembled slightly as he let out a sound of despair. The flames burned his body, leaving only a sliver of defense. Boom boom boom. The golden swordfish's attack arrived, causing the ground to explode, and cracks that were thousands of meters wide appeared. And at the middle-aged immortal god's original location, a deep pit that was 100 meters deep appeared. At this moment the entire world seemed to have fallen silent. The disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect were shocked. All the surrounding disciples of the Immortal sect were also shocked. They stared blankly at the location of the deep pit, and their hearts chilled. Those terrifying attacks seemed to be able to destroy the world. A dignified immortal god had no ability to resist at all. Wung wung. At this moment, 5 figures emitting golden light flew out from the deep pit, and burn marks appeared on their bodies. However, these burn marks weren't fatal. Boom boom. At this moment, more than 100 infant realm experts surrounded them, and each of their bodies emitted an icy cold aura. Dead. The golden swordfish that flew out said coldly. Dead. The 2 words entered the ears of the surrounding people, and in an instant, everyone's eyes widened, revealing an expression of disbelief. Dead, an immortal god actually died. He was directly killed by the experts of the Dragon Gate. This was simply too fucking crazy. No. The bodies of all the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect trembled slightly. They couldn't believe that an immortal god had been killed. This was an immortal god, an invincible existence in the world. But now he had been killed. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Terrifying figures flew over from the sky. The battle between immortal gods had attracted many immortal gods. There were 10 immortal gods in total, and 10 immortal gods had come from the 3 great immortal sects in the Yongchang region. They flew in the air and looked at the immortal gods that had been killed in the deep pit. Each and every one of them sucked in a breath of cold air. Their gazes swept over the 100 or so infant realm experts and the strange demon who was hiding and unstable due to his injuries. This middle-aged immortal god could be considered as the first immortal god to be killed since the immortal sect had appeared. In the past, even if there were immortal gods that fought, no immortal gods had died. He was the first. He didn't die at the hands of an immortal god, but was attacked and killed by a group of Dragon Gate experts. Do you think that with an immortal god following us, we can't kill you? At this moment, Mo Qinglong turned around and looked at the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect with a smile on his face. Why did this happen? The disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect were completely in despair. Some of them even collapsed to the ground, their eyes lifeless and their faces ashen. Kill? Mo Qinglong did not show any mercy as he waved his arm. The group of Dragon Gate members instantly took action and were instantly killed. They could even kill an immortal god, let alone a group of 2 ordinary disciples of the immortal sect. There were only 4 infant stage powerhouses. Put away the corpses and let's go. At this moment, Wang Xian and Ao Jian appeared in the sky. They looked down with a smile and said to the group of disciples. Yes, Dragon King. Mo Qinglong kept the immortal god's body into his interspatial ring as more than 100 infant stage experts flew into the sky. Today I can kill the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal God. In the future, I will be able to completely exterminate them. Chapter 805. Chapter 805. The death of the Immortal God shocked the world. Today I can kill the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal God. In the future, I will be able to wipe them out completely. The voice reverberated throughout the entire sky. Everyone looked at Wang Xian and the rest who had left in a daze. Their faces were filled with shock. The disciples of the Dragon Gate ambushed and killed the Immortal God. This matter was simply too shocking. At present, the Immortal God was high and mighty. Even with the agreement between the Immortal God and the Immortal God still possessed an inviolable dignity that surpassed ordinary people. However, even so, an Immortal God was still killed by the disciples of the Dragon Gate. The 10 immortal gods of the Yongchang world stared at Wang Xian's figure with complicated and fearful expressions, especially those lower-level immortals. At present, the Dragon Gate had the strength to kill a lower-level immortal. Thinking about it, this was a terrifying matter. Especially the Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The Dragon King had already wanted to fight to the death with them. Now, even a lower immortal's life was in danger. then would another immortal be killed? How would the Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine Immortal sect fight back? There was no way to fight back. Even if the Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine Immortal sect went out, they would need at least 2 lower immortals together. Only then would it be safer. It is astonishing that a fairy should be forced into such a position. Holy Medicine Immortal Gate of an immortal god was killed by Dragon Gate strong ambush. This matter first in the Yongchang world caused a huge sensation. Soon this matter spread to Jianghu online, spread to the Holy Medicine Immortal Gate there. At first, no one believed that an immortal god would be ambushed and killed by a strong person below the immortal god. With the strength of the immortal god, it was very difficult to kill. However, when an immortal god came out to verify it, the entire Jianghu web seemed to have experienced a magnitude 10 earthquake in an instant. An immortal god was killed? How is this possible? This is too unbelievable. Heavens, an immortal god has fallen. An immortal god has actually fallen. How can the Dragon Gate be so terrifying? Over 100 infant realm experts directly attacked from afar, breaking through the first defense of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect's immortal god. Following that terrifying half-step immortal god, white shadows shot toward the immortal god one after another. Wave after wave, they held immortal god weapons in their hands, and in the end, they died at the hands of 5 half-step immortal god swordsmen. This time, the Dragon Gate sent at least 20 half-step immortal god experts. They are so powerful that it's unbelievable. Which force will dare to provoke the Dragon Gate in the future? Even the Yuan clan of the Shen Yuan clan can't do it. Everyone was shocked. Even the high and mighty immortal gods were looking at this piece of information with shocked faces. We have to make a move. Regardless of the immortal god agreement, we have to destroy the Dragon Gate. Otherwise, our entire Saint Medicine Immortal sect is no different from a stray dog. An angry roar came from inside the immortal god hall of Holy Medicine Immortal Gate. Inside the hall, the green-robed old man roared with a face full of fury. His face was full of anger, but it was also filled with a trace of fear. The Dragon Gate had actually ambushed and killed one of their immortals. It would have been better if their disciple had died, but now the immortal god had died. The immortal god represented the pillar of his Holy Medicine Immortal Gate. If the pillar was destroyed, it would naturally shake the entire immortal gate. Other than the green-robed elder, the rest of the immortal gods were also filled with fear. Most of them had the strength of lower-level immortals, which meant that there was a possibility of them being killed. After cultivating for so many years, they were now killed by a group of people who had not even reached the level of immortal gods. This was a great humiliation. Especially by someone who was weaker than them in their eyes. Aggrieved and humiliated. We can't go on like this. With the Dragon King's character, it's very likely that he'll keep his word. He was able to ambush and kill one of our immortal gods today, and then he'll be able to kill the rest of our immortal gods. We can't just sit around and wait for death. A lower immortal growled with a grave look in his eyes. None of them had expected that they would have to pay such a huge price just to destroy the Dragon Gate forging workshop. 50 infant realm experts were killed and 1 immortal god was killed. Even the 2 immortal sects, Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine, couldn't bear such a loss. Now the Dragon Gate has the power to kill immortal gods. Not only are we afraid, but the immortal gods of the other immortal sects are also afraid. The immortal god agreement was originally used to protect the weak below the immortal god level. Now because of this rule, even the immortal god can't protect himself. At this time, the burly elder standing at the front had a cold look in his eyes. His body was filled with a murderous aura as he said, "Since even the immortals and gods cannot be protected, the agreement between the immortals and gods has no meaning at all. Grand Supreme, what are you trying to do?" The surrounding immortals and gods felt the anger of the Grand Supreme Elder. They were slightly shocked and quickly asked, "Since the Dragon King wants to destroy our Holy Medicine Immortal sect, then let's fight and see who will be destroyed first." The burly elder's eyes were like torches and flames began to jump on his clothes. "Grand Supreme, with the agreement between the immortals and gods, how can we attack? Also, the disciples of the Dragon sect are too powerful, so powerful that it's inconceivable." A lower immortal said with an embarrassed expression. "Even the immortals and gods have been killed, so who cares about the agreement between the immortals and gods? I don't believe that the disciples of the Dragon sect have the ability to kill immortals and gods. The other immortal sects can do it. Even the Yuan clan of the Xinyuan clan can't sit still. The eyes of the burly elder were filled with coldness. Let's go, everyone follow me. With a light shout, he flew out of the main hall and flew towards the sky above the east gate of the sacred city. The eyes of the immortal gods flickered as they followed closely behind the elder. In the sacred city below, today was simply a nightmare for the disciples of the two immortal sections. The immortal lord was actually killed by the Dragon Gate. Perhaps it was as the Dragon King of the Dragon Gate had said, their entire immortal sect would be destroyed in the future. Everyone was terrified, everyone was terrified. The fear brought by the immortal lord's death filled everyone with panic. Especially when they saw the comments on the internet saying that the holy medicine would be finished in the future, it made all the disciples extremely embarrassed and angry. But now they had no way to do anything about it. The difference was simply too great. The sensation caused by the Dragon Gate killing the immortal god was equivalent to an earthquake of over 10 magnitude. Oh, the immortal god. What is the immortal god going to do? No, 12. How can there be 12 immortal gods? Hiss, that figure, the Supreme, is the Supreme. Didn't they say that the Supreme has already passed away? At this moment, the disciples of the two great immortal sects in the sacred city suddenly noticed a group of immortal gods flying out, and their faces revealed a look of shock. However, when some of the disciples saw the old man at the front, their faces revealed a look of shock. That was their Supreme Elder, once the most powerful existence in the immortal sect. The 12 immortal gods, led by the burly old man, stood in the sky above the east gate. Boom, boom, boom. Suddenly, an imposing aura as powerful as a prison was emitted from the burly old man's body. Dragon King, in 3 days I Jianghu will lead the experts of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect to exterminate your Dragon Gate and wait for death. Chapter 806. Chapter 806, The Calm Before the Storm. Dragon Gate, in 3 days I Jianghu will lead the experts of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect to destroy you and await your death. A voice filled with boundless anger came from the burly elder's mouth and instantly spread throughout the entire Jianghu. It was the voice of an immortal god, and it was the voice of a superior immortal. According to the division of strength between immortal gods, a middle-level immortal was able to fight against 4 lower-level immortals. And a higher-level immortal could fight against 4 middle-level immortals. If a lower-level immortal wanted to fight against a higher-level immortal, they would need at least 15 to 20. In the entire Jianghu, only the Xinyuan clan, the Yuan clan, and the Beast clan were known to have a higher-level immortal. It was unknown whether the other immortal sects had a higher-level immortal. And today, when the hearts of the people of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect wavered, their Supreme Elder had no choice but to come out. Moreover, today was not only a declaration but also a declaration. He would flatten the territory and lead the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect to destroy the Dragon Gate. The Supreme Elder is actually still alive. Moreover, our two immortal sects have a total of 12 immortal gods, a total of 12. Haha, superior immortal, our Supreme Elder has the strength of a superior immortal. According to the Supreme Elder's words, the Supreme Elder is going to lead the experts of the immortal sect to destroy the Dragon Gate. The Dragon Gate is going to be finished, they're going to be finished. Ah, this is great, this is simply great. Kill the experts of our two immortal sects and besiege our immortal gods. 3 days later, our Grand Supreme will exterminate you. This is too satisfying, too domineering. This is our Grand Supreme Elder. Who cares about the agreement between the immortal gods? Kill them. In an instant, the two disciples of the immortal sect below revealed excited expressions. Their eyes lit up as they shouted loudly. After being sullen for more than half a month, the news of the immortal god being killed had finally been released today. If the Supreme Elder of the immortal sect made a move, the Dragon Gate would definitely be destroyed. A dignified voice spread throughout the entire Jianghu. While all the martial artists in the Jianghu were discussing the Dragon Gate in shock, discussing the unlucky Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, the voice of an immortal god reached everyone's ears. It was extremely clear. This voice was definitely not something that an ordinary immortal god could transmit. In an instant, everyone was stunned. A look of astonishment appeared on their faces. Soon after, they opened their mouths slightly, and their faces were filled with shock. What is the Holy Medicine Immortal sect trying to do? Are they going to start a war and disregard the agreement between the immortals and gods? Are the immortals and gods directly participating in the battle? This voice is definitely not coming from a mid-level immortal. A high-level immortal. The Holy Medicine Immortal sect has a high-level immortal. Jianghu? Jianghu seems to be the former supreme elder of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. Didn't they say that the immortal had passed away more than 10 years ago? He didn't die. This time the Dragon Gate has really broken the sky. The Dragon Gate experts can kill the immortal god, and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect doesn't care about the agreement between the immortal god and the immortal god. They're going to fight to the death. The Holy Medicine Immortal sect has made it clear that if they don't care about the agreement between the immortal god and the immortal god, how will the other immortal sects react? What about the Yuan clan of the Shenyuan clan? The entire Jianghu was in an uproar again. Just as all the disciples of the immortal sects thought that the Holy Medicine Immortal sect would be beaten up by the Dragon Gate from now on, the two immortal sects suddenly turned the tables. The superior immortal directly declared that he would destroy the Dragon Gate. The words of a superior immortal were not a joke. Moreover, at this time they clearly disregarded the agreement between the immortals and gods. According to the news from the Holy Medicine Immortal sect, the two immortal sects currently have a total of 12 immortals, 1 superior immortal, 3 middle immortals and 8 inferior immortals. Heavens, this is simply too terrifying. Now that the two immortal sects have been forced to violate the immortal god agreement, if the Shenyuan clan doesn't intervene and stop them, the Dragon Gate will probably be destroyed. That's right. At this time, unless the Shenyuan clan and the Yuan clan use the immortal god agreement to suppress this matter, the Dragon Gate's strength will definitely be destroyed. The strength displayed by the two immortal sects once again shocked everyone. If they really started fighting, the Dragon Gate would probably be destroyed. At this moment, Jianghu's announcement not only shocked the disciples of the immortal sects, but even the immortal gods had solemn expressions on their faces. At the first moment, the Grand Elder of the Shenyuan clan and the Grand Elder of the Yuan clan led a group of immortal gods to gather together. More than a dozen immortal gods from the two immortal sects arrived and sat on both sides, frowning. As expected, the Holy Medicine Immortal sect has a superior immortal. Now, Jianghu has announced that he will mobilize the immortal god power to destroy the Dragon Gate. Once they make a move, the immortal god agreement will become a piece of scrap paper. The immortal god agreement was an agreement between the Shenyuan clan and the Yuan clan. Now that someone was violating it, they had to take the lead. Otherwise, the other immortal gods wouldn't find trouble for themselves. A middle-aged immortal god from the Shenyuan clan said in a deep voice, "It's the Dragon Gate that has forced the Holy Medicine Immortal sect into a corner. If they don't take action, their two immortal sects will be completely defeated by the Dragon Gate in the future. They will naturally be unwilling to be defeated by an immortal sect weaker than them." A middle-aged immortal god from the Yuan clan raised his eyebrows and said, "The two immortal sects have a superior immortal, and they're already cornered. It's not easy to solve this." Another immortal god from the Yuan clan echoed, "The Holy Medicine Immortal sect had a superior immortal, and their strength was on the surface. They were no longer afraid of Shenyuan and Yuan. Now, one immortal god from the immortal sect had been killed. If they didn't respond, the two immortal sects would be completely finished in the future. It was reasonable for a superior immortal to personally declare that they wanted to destroy the Dragon Gate. Is the immortal god agreement going to be scrapped just like that?" An old man from the Shenyuan clan frowned and said with an unpleasant expression, "The immortal god agreement is to protect ordinary people. Now, because of the immortal god agreement, if the immortal god's life is threatened." An old man from the Yuan clan continued, but he didn't finish his words. But everyone knew what he meant. "Let's make a trip to the Holy Medicine Immortal sect first and see if there's any leeway. If there's no leeway, then so be it." The Yuan clan's supreme elder stood up and said to the Shenyuan clan's supreme elder in front of him, "All right." The Shenyuan clan's supreme elder slowly nodded. If it could be resolved peacefully, then it would be resolved peacefully. If it couldn't, then it would be very difficult for them to do so. They couldn't possibly punish the entire Holy Medicine Immortal sect, could they? This was obviously impossible. The other party's strength was very strong. Moreover, the Yuan clan's people clearly didn't want to interfere in this matter. The Xianyuan clan was also very hesitant. After all, the Dragon Gate's experts were able to ambush and kill immortal gods. This was too terrifying. The immortal gods from the two great immortal sects immediately headed to the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The matter of the Xianyuan clan and the Yuan clan heading to the two great immortal sects was not concealed. At that moment, everyone understood that whether or not this great battle would happen would depend on the conversations of the few great immortal sects. Chapter 807. Chapter 807, Chance to Forgive. Time passed slowly. Ever since the Dragon Gate's powerhouse killed the immortal god, the Grand Elder of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect suddenly appeared and decided to destroy the Dragon Gate. The entire Jianghu was in an uproar. A day had passed. All the immortal sects in Jianghu were waiting for news from the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The immortal god of the Xianyuan and Yuan clan had already passed. Everyone was waiting for the outcome. At this moment, Wang Xian and the group of girls were at the leisure area on the floating island. Wang Xian was lying on the sofa in satisfaction. Guan Shuqing was playing with the heavenly dog while Xiao Yu and the rest were playing with their phones and paying attention to the happenings on the Jianghu internet. When he was about to kill the immortals and the Grand Elder of the Holy Medicine sect, Wang Xian had brought all the members of the Dragon Palace back. It was time to end this. There was no point in blocking the city gates anymore. However, the fact that the two immortal sects had a superior immortal was a little out of Wang Xian's expectations. Even so, Wang Xian was not afraid at all. He had already reached the level of a superior immortal. Even if they were to fight now, the Dragon Palace was more than enough to accept the challenge. The Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine Immortal sect has made a statement. They asked Brother to apologize personally and sent an immortal god for them to kill. After that, they took out a large amount of resources to compensate us and let us off. HMPH, the people of the two immortal sects are really arrogant. They actually threatened to destroy us as long as we didn't take them out. At this moment, an angry voice came from Xiao Yu's side. Come, let me take a look. Wang Xian reached out his hand and took Xiao Yu's phone. He looked at the statement issued by the Holy Medicine sect with a smile. He took a look and the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. This result was obviously the result of the discussion between the two sects and Xianyuan Yuan. Only when he admitted defeat and offered compensation would the two immortal sects let him go. Otherwise, they would still exterminate their Dragon Gate 3 days later. This made Wang Xian smile coldly. Exterminating his Dragon Gate, they were really arrogant. It was not certain who would exterminate who. However, the news from the Holy Medicine Immortal sect shocked all the disciples of the immortal sections. It seemed that the result of their negotiation with the Xianyuan Yuan clan had come out, and the two immortal sects had raised this condition. How should the Dragon sect choose? This condition is very harsh. The Dragon King may not agree, but if he doesn't agree, he may be directly destroyed. The Holy Medicine sect has a superior immortal, and the overall situation has changed in an instant. On the Jianghu, all the disciples of the immortal sects looked at the news silently. 3 days had passed and the next 2 days would soon come. Another day had passed but the Dragon Gate did not reply. The entire Jianghu was paying attention to this matter. Once the Dragon King did not admit defeat, it would be a war between immortals and gods. At that time, more immortals would die and even the entire Dragon Gate would be destroyed. However, in the past 2 days, the disciples of the two immortal sects had been completely elated. They had been shouting proudly on the Jianghu website that the Dragon Gate would definitely be destroyed and the Dragon Gate would definitely die. All the disciples of the immortal sects also agreed very much. Now that even the Xianyuan clan and the Yuan clan had compromised on the agreement between the immortals and gods, the strength of the two immortal sects was truly unstoppable. If the Dragon Gate didn't know what was good for them, the consequences would be disastrous. Other than them escaping, they must never be discovered by the two immortal sects and become a stray dog. The storm was coming, the tranquility before the storm. The closer the time was, the entire Jianghu could feel a depressing atmosphere. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the Jiang city and the area of Yaoding. Wang Xian stood at the highest point of the floating island and looked at the ocean in front of him. He was considering whether he should fight or wait. If he waited for some time, he would wait until the nine-headed Hui broke through. If he were to fight, it would be a draw at most. Dragon King. At this moment, Prime Minister Gui's figure suddenly appeared at the bottom of the ocean in front of him. Wang Xian was slightly surprised. Prime Minister Gui, why are you here? Dragon King, you once told me that if the nine-headed Hui... You mean? Wang Xian's eyes lit up and a smile appeared on his face. Yes. Prime Minister Gui nodded his head. Even the heavens want you to be exterminated as soon as possible. A faint smile appeared on Wang Xian's face. Tomorrow night, call all the immortals and deities of the Dragon Palace over. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gui nodded his head heavily. 3 days later, give them a surprise. Wang Xian looked at the Holy Medicine sect and revealed a cold smile on his face. The third day had arrived. All the disciples of the Holy Medicine sect in the martial arts world were paying attention to the information on the martial arts world's internet and the situation of the Dragon sect. Just as many people expected, the Dragon King of the Dragon sect did not respond at all. The next big battle was inevitable. Dragon Gate, today even if you run to the ends of the earth, we the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine Immortal sect, will destroy you. On the morning of the third day, a roar reverberated through the entire world. Destroy the Dragon Gate. Kill the Dragon Gate. Kill all of them. At the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine Immortal sect, located in Yaoding, 12 immortal gods were floating above the East Gate. Behind them, more than 1,000 experts from the two immortal sects were fully armed and following behind them. Each of them was full of fighting spirit and killing intent. In the Holy City, all the disciples and family members of the two immortal sects were shouting with excitement on their faces. Today's expedition will definitely eliminate every disciple of the Dragon Gate and hang the head of the Dragon King on the Holy City to warn everyone of the consequences if they dare to oppose our Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The burly Grand Elder who was clad in fiery red armor shouted with a cold face. Yes, kill the Dragon King, kill the Dragon King. The group of experts from the Holy Doctor Holy Medicine Immortal sect roared loudly. Their voices shook the sky and filled the entire area with a murderous aura. Hiss, this is simply too terrifying. At this moment, within a range of 10 to 20 kilometers, a dense group of experts from the immortal sects floated in the sky and looked in the direction of the two great immortal sections. Seeing the terrifying aura coming from there, all of them sucked in a breath of cold air. This battle had attracted the attention of countless experts from the immortal sections. This was a battle that attracted the attention of tens of thousands of people. This time, the Dragon Gate is doomed. An immortal god hidden in the void slowly sighed. A high-level immortal, 3 middle-level immortals and 8 lower-level immortals. This power could disregard the agreement between the immortals and gods. It was too shocking. Holy Medicine, son, follow me into battle. Holy Medicine, son, follow me into battle. The two immortal gods roared loudly, and their earth-shaking voices rang out once more. Fight, fight, fight. The disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect roared loudly, their faces slightly red. Fight with the immortal gods and destroy the Dragon Gate. All of the immortal gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect brought with them the top-tier fighting power of the immortal sect. They looked forward with a mighty momentum. Roar, roar, roar. At this moment, an earth-shaking roar was heard. 9 roars and the space trembled. Chapter 808. Chapter 808, Despot. Roar, roar, roar. 9 whistling sounds rang out. While the immortal gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect were filled with fighting spirit, the disciples of the two immortal sects were filled with fighting spirit and vowed to exterminate the Dragon sect. While the disciples and family members of the two immortal sects were filled with excitement in the Holy City. Just as they were about to set off for battle, 9 terrifying roars rang out. The voices were filled with violence, coldness, and brutality. In an instant the entire world seemed to shake. The eyes of the immortal gods and the experts from the immortal sects who were gathered around to watch the battle suddenly narrowed. Everyone looked toward the east with shocked expressions. This is... Heavens, this... The infant realm experts and the few hidden immortal gods suddenly revealed shocked expressions. Their bodies couldn't help but tremble in the air. In the sky above the eastern gate of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect, 9 roars caused the expressions of the people from the two immortal sects to change slightly. Their gazes flickered as they looked ahead. However, because the voices were too far away, they couldn't see clearly at all. However, in the next second, 9 terrifying behemoths suddenly appeared in everyone's line of sight. 9 green-colored behemoths with 2 horns on their heads, their bodies reaching a terrifying size of around 20 meters. Their bodies were 3 meters wide and their scales were the size of a human head. They contained a terrifying wind attribute energy. They had a ferocious head and their green eyes were filled with coldness. The 9 terrifying creatures emitted a desolate aura. Just their aura was definitely not something that an ordinary immortal could compare to. When they saw the appearance of the 9 terrifying creatures, everyone's expression changed. There's still someone up there. Right at this moment, an infant stage expert from the Holy Medicine Immortal sect couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva as he spoke loudly. There was someone up there. 10 figures, a total of 10 figures stood on top. One was a devil monkey that held a metal rod. One was an old man that carried a turtle shell on his back. One was a prawn that was covered in golden light and possessed 2 huge pincers. A beautiful woman with a blue shell on her back. A prawn covered in terrifying lightning had a thunder hammer in one hand and a thunder spear in the other. A middle-aged swordsman with a long sword in his hand. However, a man and a woman stood in the middle of the 9 terrifying creatures. The man was naturally the Dragon King of Dragon Gate, while the woman was the Dragon King's girlfriend. They stood on each of the 9 terrifying bodies, and a terrifying energy was emitted from their bodies. Every force made the lower-level immortal's heart palpitate, especially the aura emitted by the central Dragon King. It was terrifying. 17 immortal gods? Oh my god, it's actually 17 immortal gods. That's not right. There should be another immortal god who is good at hiding in the void. According to the matter of the Strange Thorn clan, there's a white shadow who is also an immortal god who is good at hiding. That means there are 18 of them. There are actually so many strange immortal gods among them. The ferocious aura on their bodies is completely incomparable to that of an ordinary immortal god. Everyone looked at the Dragon King and the rest in astonishment. The scene in front of them was too unbelievable. Each and every one of them was a special immortal god who was awe-inspiring to the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal Sect. Master Pledge Ceremony? Not bad. However, there's no need for you to look for the Dragon Sect. I have personally brought people here. Wang Xian looked down at everyone from the 2 immortal gates of medicine and holy medicine and said faintly. Boom. When he finished speaking, an invincible pressure was emitted. Roar. Ao Qitian, who was at the side, followed Hui directly. No, he should be called a flood dragon at this moment. Although it was only a young flood dragon, it was still terrifying enough. Ao Qitian roared loudly and his body turned into about 8 meters. He held the sea-pacifying divine needle in his hand and the pressure also covered him. Crackle, crackle. The sound of thunder and lightning resounded through the void. A bolt of lightning landed directly on Ao Qi's body. Like a god of thunder, he flew to the side from the body of the flood dragon. Anyone who provokes the Dragon Palace, kill. Prime Minister Jiui jumped lightly and stared coldly at all the people in front of him, releasing their mighty pressure. The mighty pressure of all the immortal gods of the members of the Dragon Palace covered the sky and covered the earth. Retreat. The aura of nearly 20 immortal gods caused the expressions of some experts in the surrounding 10 kilometers to change drastically, and they retreated again. The Holy Doctor Holy Medicine Immortal Sect asked the Dragon King to send over an immortal god for them to kill and then pay a sum of resources as the price for not destroying the Dragon Sect. But now, before they set off, the Dragon King has led a group of immortal gods here. This power is too powerful. Too powerful, simply too powerful. This was the most terrifying power they had ever seen. How is this possible? All the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect were completely dumbfounded, cold sweat slowly appearing on their foreheads. The fighting spirit and killing intent from just now had completely disappeared, and they looked forward in horror. 17 immortal gods, a total of 17, 5 more than them. What frightened them the most was that there were only a few of these 17 celestials and humans. The rest were all terrifying monsters. Their auras were extremely violent. Dragon King of the Dragon Gate. Bian Jiangtu's expression was extremely ugly. He took a deep breath and stared at Wang Xian with a serious expression as he growled in a low voice. I am the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian stared at Jianghu indifferently and opened his mouth slightly. 3 dragon balls appeared in his mouth. Each of the dragon balls contained a terrifying energy. The dragon balls floated above his head. He raised his head slightly and shouted, "Let's fight. Today I want to see who will be the one to destroy who." Supreme, their strength is so strong, so strong. A celestial god revealed a look of fear in his eyes. He looked at the Dragon King and the rest who were filled with killing intent. His eyes sparkled. He was afraid. If they really fought, their side would obviously be at a disadvantage. Jianghu's expression kept changing. The Dragon King's strength was comparable to his, and every other creature was much stronger than a lower immortal. They really weren't a match for him. However, his expression quickly changed and he took a deep breath. "I didn't expect your Dragon Palace to be so powerful. The past grudges are over, and we won't interfere in each other's business in the future." Jianghu's voice reverberated in the surroundings, causing the faces of all the disciples of the 2 immortal sects to freeze. However, they lowered their heads slowly. This was the best choice. It's a little too late to reconcile now. Wang Xian revealed a hint of mockery on his face. "What do you want, Dragon King? Don't go too far. Even if you guys are stronger than us, there will still be immortals among you if you really fight." Jianghu shouted at Wang Xian with a cold expression. "You want to reconcile? You want to negotiate terms?" Upon hearing the voice, everyone who was staring at them from afar held their breaths and stared at them with burning eyes. "Haha, what do I want? I want to destroy all of you." Chapter 809. Chapter 809, As Terrifying Battle. "Haha, what do I want? I want to destroy you all." A domineering voice sounded in the entire sky, and a terrifying killing intent instantly filled the entire sky. Everyone was shocked, and even the faces of all the immortal gods from the Flat Territory, Holy Medicine and Medicine sects changed drastically. In the distance, all the immortal sect experts and even the immortal gods who had been paying attention to this place heard this voice, and their pupils constricted slightly. In the war between the immortal gods, 12 immortal gods fought 18. Although the Dragon Palace could be said to be on the side of absolute suppression, after the battle broke out between the 2 sides, even if the Dragon King could win, he would definitely lose a lot. It was even normal to lose 4 or 5 immortal gods in this battle. All the experts who had been paying attention to this place guessed that the Dragon King would make the Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine immortal sect pay a huge price and then reconcile. But no one had expected that the Dragon King would say such a thing. Even the people of the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine immortal sect hadn't expected it. "Destroy us. You have to think about the consequences. Do you think you can destroy us so easily?" Jianghu shouted with an extremely embarrassed expression. His fat face turned red as if he was a volcano that was about to erupt. It was too sullen. They were originally valiant and ready to head to the Dragon Gate to destroy it and shake the world. In the end, when the oath ceremony was held at the city gate, all the disciples of the immortal sect were ignited to the extreme. The 18 immortals of the other party directly pressed down on them. They were suffocated by the pressure. Now they were going to kill them. How could they not be angry? Jianghu glared at him angrily. "Haha, kill?" Wang Xian laughed out loud. He didn't want to continue arguing with them. He came here today to destroy the life and death Holy Medicine immortal sect. As for reconciliation, there was no need. If he didn't have such powerful strength and influence, he would have been destroyed by the Holy Medicine immortal sect today. Therefore, since they were enemies, he would fight. Roar, roar. The moment Wang Xian gave the order, all the immortals in the Dragon Palace started to move. Wang Xian was the first to bear the brunt. His body moved and he let out a majestic roar, roar. In an instant, Wang Xian transformed into a divine dragon. His 15-meter divine dragon body attacked the flat territory. Beside him, 3 dragon balls were spinning above his head, emitting a terrifying power. The 9 flood dragons swayed their bodies and turned into green shadows, attacking forward. The sound of thunder reverberated through the heaven and earth, and a lightning hammer was raised. Golden and sharp metal, graceful flowing water, terrifying demonic chi, and a huge sea-pacifying divine needle. The attack that erupted in an instant made everyone from the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal sect look terrified. The Dragon King really dared to attack. He really wanted to exterminate them and fight to the death. Kill? Jiangtu's expression changed drastically when he saw Wang Xian turning into the legendary divine dragon. He roared loudly and went up to meet Wang Xian. Kill? The rest of the immortal sects gritted their teeth and went up to meet him. Behind them was their lair. There was nowhere to hide and nowhere to hide. They could only kill. Boom, boom, boom. In an instant, the wind attribute, the terrifying demonic chi, the explosive fire and metal attribute, the green wood attribute, the blue water attribute, the wind and cloud attribute, and the heaven and earth attribute changed. Hiss, they are really fighting. The Dragon King has turned into a divine dragon. Oh my god, this is unbelievable. Dragon Palace Dragon King, so the Dragon King can turn into a divine dragon. What a terrifying pressure. It's the legendary divine beast of China. The battle between the immortal sects. The real battle between the immortal sects. 30 immortals fighting against each other. Yes. The spectators who were watching from 10 kilometers away retreated once again. The battle between the immortals had affected a huge area. It was too terrifying. Boom. The first collision sounded. It was the prelude to the battle between the two terrifying forces. Ah. At the moment of the collision, screams of pain could be heard. The more than 1,000 disciples behind the two immortal sects, except for those who were half-step immortal gods, and even those at the infant realm, were affected by the battle in an instant. They let out a series of terrified screams. Even if you can destroy us, I will still make you suffer a great loss. Jiangtu's body was emitting a monstrous flame. The entire sky above his head had turned fiery red because of him. He held a bright red staff in his hand. With a wave of his arm, flaming meteorites were hurled at Wang Xian from the sky. The flaming meteorites covered an area of 5 kilometers in front of him. Wang Xian raised his head slightly. The water dragon pearl above his head shook slightly and formed a water curtain. The water curtain covered the sky and blocked the flaming meteorites in the sky. Wang Xian swayed his body and flew directly towards Jiangtu. A pair of dragon claws grabbed towards his body. The terrifying dragon claws seemed to be able to tear the world apart. Jiangtu looked at Wang Xian's approximately 15-meter-tall body and his expression was extremely solemn. He tapped the staff in his hand and a pillar of fire as thick as an arm shot towards him like an aurora. Wang Xian opened his mouth and let out a roar. The fire pillar with a diameter of 3 meters went straight towards him. Fire and water attack at the same time. Jiangtu's expression changed slightly and a look of shock appeared in his eyes. He waved his arm and a fire shield appeared in front of him. Boom. The fire shield only lasted for half a second, but by using this time he had already moved to a position 1,000 meters away. The terrifying dragon flames descended. And that was the direction of the sacred city. It was covered by a green light, which was the power of the array formation. But even with the array formation, all the disciples and family members of the two immortal sects looked terrified when they saw the battle between the immortals and gods outside. After all, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace was too powerful, and the number of immortals and gods was completely suppressed. Not good. At this moment, everyone in the sacred city looked terrified when they saw the terrifying dragon flame attack. Crack, crack, crack. The dragon flame landed on the array formation of the sacred city, and the sound of it breaking could be heard. The green light shone brightly and then began to flicker. Bang! Finally, the defense of the formation was broken. Everyone in the sacred city was instantly exposed to the battle between the immortals. Bang! 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 In an instant, thousands of people from the sacred city knelt on the ground. Just the terrifying pressure alone made it difficult for them to breathe. Go to the sky. Jiangtu looked extremely embarrassed when he saw that the formation was broken with a single strike. If they continued to fight here, everyone in the sacred city would be affected and die. Let them go to the sky. Wang Xian did not want to affect tens of millions of humans. The group of immortals instantly arrived at a height of 10,000 meters. Ah! At this moment, a scream was suddenly heard. A holy doctor, holy medicine, and immortal god suddenly appeared behind him when he was distracted while flying into the sky. A terrifying claw penetrated his body directly. The first immortal god died. The battle between the immortals continued. Chapter 8:10. Chapter 8:10, in the terrifying battle of... Oh no! What? Everyone was shocked. They quickly turned their heads and looked in the direction of the scream in shock. Jianghu. A somewhat terrified roar was heard. The voices of the holy doctors, holy medicine, and the two immortal sects could be heard. It's too fast. It's simply too fast. The battle has just begun and then an immortal god was killed. This is simply too terrifying. The Dragon King's cultivation technique should be similar to those bloodline warriors in the OU continent. As long as one has the bloodline of a creature, they can transform into such a creature. However, the Dragon King has actually obtained the bloodline of the divine dragon. This is too unbelievable. No wonder the Dragon King can rise so quickly. It's that white shadow that has been hiding in the void, ready to launch a fatal attack at any time. The surrounding disciples who had been paying attention to this side looked at the immortal god who had died in shock. An immortal god had actually been killed so quickly. The terrifying white figure and the terrifying upper-level immortal Dragon King. No one had expected that the Dragon King would be able to unleash such terrifying strength. Dragon King, if you want to destroy us, I will make you pay a heavy price. Kill. Jianghu's eyes were bloodshot as he commanded the surrounding immortals. Yes, kill. The rest of the immortals were also stirred up by the blood. They attacked the enemies in front of them with grief and indignation. Kill? Wang Xian's expression did not change. He swayed his body and attacked Jianghu directly. As an upper-level immortal, Wang Xian could only suppress him at most. It was very difficult to kill him. However, he only needed to control them. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, the battle at the side erupted completely. The 9 terrifying figures of the flood dragons transformed into green shadows that shuttled tens of thousands of meters high in the sky. Their entire bodies carried terrifying storm blades. Tree world. A middle-aged man waved his arm and towering trees appeared in the void. Each tree grew to 1,000 meters in size, with terrifying tentacles. The other elders also sprinkled green seeds, turning into towering trees in an instant. Blade storm. Just as the tree world, which covered an area of 4 to 5 kilometers, was formed, the 9 flood dragons' bodies trembled. Green energy floated up from the scales, and each energy was the same size as the scales. The 9 flood dragons moved, and hundreds of thousands of wind attribute scales charged towards the book world. Crash. The terrifying storm of blades tore apart all the trees like a level 10 gale. Careful. At this moment, a bolt of lightning descended from the sky and attacked an immortal god. Wooden ring. The old man's expression changed slightly. He waved the staff in his hand, and a wooden hoop met the bolt of lightning. Crack. In an instant, the wooden hoop turned pitch black under the attack of the lightning. Whoosh. A lightning spear seemed as though it was about to tear apart the void. It carried a terrifying might as it pierced towards the old man. Following that, Aochi held the lightning hammer in his hand as he approached the old man. The old man's expression changed slightly. He originally had the strength of a middle-level immortal. Even if he was facing Aochi of the lightning attribute who was restraining him, he could still resist and even gain the upper hand. However, he had to be careful of the white figure in the air, so that it did not dare to release 100% of its power. The other immortal gods of the holy medicine and holy medicine were the same. After the white figure assassinated an immortal god, it once again escaped into the air. Perhaps the next time it attacked there would be more deaths. I'll roast you. At the side, an old man with a face full of rage raised his beard. He furiously waved the staff in his hand and attacked Ao Shrimp. Ao Shrimp's golden body was like a heavenly soldier. His huge pincers could easily break metal and rock. A set of fire rings descended from the sky and fell toward Ao Shrimp. Ao Shrimp's gaze did not change. His body continued to approach the old man. Die. Seeing that Ao Shur did not dodge, the old man's eyes flashed with a sharp light. The rings of fire exploded, becoming even more ferocious. Wong. At this moment, a jade-blue stream of water appeared out of thin air on Ao Shur's body. The stream of water formed an armor, instantly lifting up a space. Not good, help me. The old man's expression instantly changed and he cried out for help. However, at this moment there was no one else who could help him. The 2 immortal sects already had 6 fewer immortal gods than the Dragon Gate. Only a middle-level immortal could deal with 2 of them. A lower-level immortal could not even protect himself. Ka-ka. The huge pincers attacked, and the 2-meter-long metal pincers became bigger again. They actually became 5 meters in size. The pincers clamped down heavily, causing the old man's face to turn pale. His staff shone with light. Boom. His entire body was instantly surrounded by flames that were like lava. Crack, crack. However, under the terrifying pincers, the lava directly collapsed. Fire escape. He waved his arm and a fire tunnel instantly appeared in front of him. His body quickly retreated. What? However, at this moment, a water tentacle had somehow trapped his legs and completely pulled his body. With a wave of his arm, a fiery red liquid that was like a drop of water directly slashed at the water tentacle. Wong. At this moment, 2 pincers attacked him. Ah. The old man's face was filled with shock. With a shake of his legs were directly shattered to the knees. His crippled legs erupted like a god of fire. Boom, boom, boom. 10,000 meters in the air, it was as if a volcano had appeared out of thin air. Terrifying lava erupted from it. The lava waterfall fell towards the ground. The terrifying fire energy landed on the ground and formed a huge sea of flames. The energy contained within the body of an immortal god expert was extremely terrifying. Can you escape? At this moment, an icy voice sounded from behind. A claw pierced through the chest of the elder who had just tried to escape. Cough, cough. The elder spat out blood. His eyes were dim as his body fell to the ground. He already had a premonition that this battle was a one-way ticket to death. That was why he gave up his legs and went all out. He wanted to kill one, but unfortunately, one immortal god was enough to suppress him. He was no match for the other 2. The second immortal god is dead. The experts and immortal gods watching from afar said in their hearts. Suppression, 100% suppression. They discovered that the 2 immortal gods of the Dragon Palace could fight against a middle-level immortal. 2 immortal gods could kill a lower-level immortal without being injured. The difference in strength between the immortal gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect and the immortal gods of the Dragon Palace was simply too great. I reckon that apart from the Supreme Elder of the upper-level Immortal Sect who managed to escape, everyone else is finished. Chapter 8:11. Chapter 8:11. Under the terrifying battle of Roar. On the other side, Ao Qitian, who held the sea-pacifying divine needle in his hand and was 7 to 8 meters in size, looked like a devil monkey. It was too violent. There were a total of 3 middle-level immortals in the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect. However, at this moment, the violent Ao Qitian was fighting one of them with his own strength. The terrifying flames attacked him. The violent demonic qi, together with the 50-meter-long sea-pacifying divine needle, swept through everything. Whether it was the sea of fire, the flaming lava, or the pillar of fire, they were all forcibly blocked by his violent attacks. The ocean-pacifying divine needle was an existence that far surpassed ordinary immortal god artifacts. It could become 50 meters long and when it was waved, it could simply destroy the world. In the area where Ao Qitian was fighting with the middle-level immortal of the Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine, no one dared to enter the area. On the other side, Prime Minister Gue was standing on top of a flood dragon, and a 100-meter-wide earth wall appeared out of thin air. Terrifying wind blades, storms, and the flood dragon's powerful physical body, the immortal gods in front of them were defending passively, their faces filled with fear. There was no room for resistance at all. Move the mountain. At this moment, Prime Minister Gue's body shook, and the turtle shell on his back flew higher into the sky. Boom. Instantly, a 1,000-meter-tall mountain appeared in the sky, and the mountain smashed heavily towards the lower immortal. Wind domain, binding of wind. Below, the flood dragon's body flashed with a green light, instantly forming a wind domain of 10 kilometers in radius. Within this space, all the wind was within their control. Terrifying green energy shot towards the lower immortal. No, save me. The lower immortal couldn't move. He looked up at the terrifying mountain in the sky, his face filled with despair. Boom. The mountain descended, bringing with it a terrifying power as it smashed towards the ground below. Boom. Another earth-shattering sound rang out as the ground split open. Terrifying cracks spread out in all directions all the way to the sacred city. The terrifying cracks were 1 meter wide and 100 meters deep. At this moment, all the disciples of the 2 great immortal sects in the sacred city stood on the streets, their faces filled with shock and fear. They looked at the terrifying sea of fire, the terrifying mountains and the cracks not far away, their eyes filled with fear. It was the third one. Their immortal god had already died, and not a single one of them had died. Not even a single one was injured. I'll fight it out with you. A subordinate immortal collapsed under the combined attacks of the two flood dragons. Terrifying speed, powerful physical body, and sharp wind blades. In addition to their incomparably powerful bodies, the two flood dragons were completely toying with the subordinate immortal. He had no ability to resist at all. Seeing his companions die one by one, despair appeared on his face. His arms turned into terrifying tree branches that directly twined around the flood dragons. Roar! With a flood dragon roar, the densely packed wind blades slashed towards the tree branches. When the wind blades landed on the tree branches, numerous wounds appeared instantly, and fresh blood flowed out from the tree branches. Die! The middle-aged immortal god's body began to wither, and his black hair slowly turned white. The terrifying tree branches that his arms transformed into were even more terrifying. Rise of the clouds. When the two flood dragons saw that the middle-aged immortal god was actually using up his life force to attack, their expressions did not change, and a gust of wind blew over. At the same time, a large patch of cloud and fog. The cloud and fog instantly filled an area of 10 kilometers. The two flood dragons moved and directly entered the cloud and fog. The divine dragon was nowhere to be seen. The middle-aged immortal god's expression changed drastically, and the tree branches formed by his arms scattered in the cloud and fog. As time passed, his attacks became weaker and weaker, and the life force in his body became less and less. Attacks that cost his life were destined to not last long. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as the middle-aged immortal god fell into a state of weakness, sharp wind needles pierced through the middle-aged immortal god like terrifying hidden weapons. An anguished cry sounded out as the middle-aged immortal god's body fell to the ground at a terrifying speed. The fourth immortal god had fallen. At this point, the Holy Doctor, Holy Medicine, and Immortal Sect only had 8 people left. They would fall even faster. Boom, boom. The battle that shook the heavens and earth spread out in all directions from 10,000 meters in the sky. All of China and the entire Jianghu could hear it clearly. Even the terrifying energy that came from this place spread far, far away. Among the 30 immortal gods, there were 2 high-level immortals. This momentum shook the world. The entire sky was like the end of the world. Any random attack that landed on the ground could cause a sea of fire and a crack. Whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, one immortal god after another rushed over. The supreme elders of the Xianyuan clan and the Yuan clan also arrived. The immortal gods of the 2 immortal sects watched the battle in the sky from a distance, their faces filled with shock. Their eyes swept across the entire battlefield and instantly understood. Is this the power of the Dragon Palace? Too powerful. 4 immortal gods have died from the Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine. 18 immortal gods versus 8. It's a complete suppression. The 2 immortal sects are going to be finished. The Dragon King's strength is really unrivaled. The Dragon Palace should be the most powerful existence in the Jianghu. The immortal gods watched the battle in front of them, and their pupils couldn't help but shrink. Shock appeared on their faces. The immortal gods of the Dragon Palace were really invincible. The supreme elder of the Yuan clan's face changed drastically when he saw how miserable the 2 immortal sects were. Their relationship with the 2 immortal sects could be considered quite friendly. Not long ago they had even discussed a series of cooperation. Now, when he saw that the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect was about to be destroyed, his expression was somewhat unsightly. Brother Xianyuan, should we stop them? The Yuan clan's supreme elder revealed a hesitant expression as he spoke to the Xianyuan clan's supreme elder at the side. All the immortal sects of the Xianyuan clan fell silent after hearing this. They did not reply as they did not want to interfere. If they were to interfere now, it was obvious that they had offended the Dragon Palace. With the Dragon King's character, the 2 of them were destined to have a rift or even hatred. Dragon King, I think we should just forget about this battle. We should be lenient when possible. You have already killed 5 of their immortals. Let them pay a little more and let's call it a day. The supreme elder of the Yuan clan saw that the Xianyuan clan did not respond. He took a deep breath and said to Wang Xian, "What? Are the Yuan clan going to interfere? What are they going to do?" The voice of the Yuan clan's supreme elder shocked all the immortals and powerhouses around. They quickly looked over. Brother Yuan, help us get through this crisis. When Jianghu heard the voice of the Yuan clan's supreme elder, he disregarded his status and asked for help loudly. 4 immortals were killed in just 10 minutes. He was really afraid. You dare to interfere? Wang Xian turned his head and stared at them with a cold gaze. Ah! At this moment, a scream was heard. A terrifying flame suddenly shot up into the sky. Unparalleled pressure, suppress heaven and earth. Chapter 8:12. Chapter 8:12, suppressed everything. You dare to interfere? The sudden intervention of the supreme elder of the Yuan clan caused all the surrounding immortals and the powerhouses of the immortal sect to reveal shocked expressions. However, a cold and dignified voice came out of Wang Xian's mouth as he stared coldly in the direction of the Yuan clan. At the same time, the sudden burst of terrifying power caused the expressions of all the immortals to change drastically. The number of immortal gods gathered here had already reached 40 to 50. They were all watching the battle in the air. The sudden burst of power caused everyone's bodies to tremble. Their eyes were filled with shock as they hurriedly looked towards the direction of the terrifying battlefield. It was a woman whose entire body was emitting terrifying flames. This flame was different from the other flames. It was even very different from the supreme elder of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The flame had the form of a bird and was somewhat similar to the legendary vermilion bird. Around her body, a 10-meter-long vermilion bird rotated and emitted a terrifying might. The vermilion bird seemed to be alive and was full of spirituality. Just now, the middle-level immortal of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect who had been fighting with it was instantly killed by this terrifying vermilion bird. Chirp chirp. A phoenix cry sounded. Feng Yuan took control of her body and looked in the direction of the Yuan clan. For a moment, the supreme elder of the Yuan clan was completely stunned. He opened his mouth slightly and revealed an incredulous expression. Another high-level immortal. The Dragon King's wife is also a high-level immortal. Shocked voices came from the immortal god behind him. The face of the Yuan clan's first elder slowly turned ugly. Looking at the 2 pairs of cold eyes staring at him, his face changed drastically. What? However, at this moment, all the immortal gods in the Holy Medicine Immortal sect were completely in despair. There was still one more. The Dragon Gate actually had a superior immortal. This completely extinguished all their vitality. The Dragon Palace had 2 superior immortals and 18 immortal gods. They were invincible in this world. Just forget it. The supreme elder of the Yuan clan said with an embarrassed look on his face. FUCK, the Dragon Palace, which had 2 high-level immortals and 2 high-level immortals, might not be able to defeat them even if he led all the immortals of the Yuan clan to fight. If the Dragon King came to destroy the Yuan clan in the future because of his interference in this matter, they would be courting death. When the surrounding immortals heard the Yuan clan's supreme elder's words, they were a little stunned and speechless. Now, the Yuan clan no longer had the right to interfere with the strength that the Dragon Palace had displayed. If they interfered, they would be courting death. With the Dragon Palace's current strength, unless the Xianyuan clan and the Yuan clan interfered, it would be possible to stop this war. Today, whoever dares to interfere will be the enemy of the Dragon Palace. The Holy Doctor and Medicine Immortal sect will be annihilated by the Dragon Palace today. When Wang Xian saw the Yuan clan's supreme elder retract his words, he snorted coldly and shouted loudly. When Jianghu saw this scene, his body couldn't help but tremble. Help me kill him. At this moment, Wang Xian turned to look at Feng Yuan and said to her. All right. Feng Yuan's eyes sparkled as she stared at Wang Xian's body. This was the first time she saw Wang Xian in battle. It was the first time she saw him transform into a divine dragon. On the Transcendence continent, there was a dragon race that was the most powerful existence in the entire continent. Even when she was at her peak, she didn't dare to provoke such a terrifying race. Moreover, she also knew that the divine dragon race was a race that was comparable to their vermilion bird race. Chirp chirp. A phoenix cry sounded. Feng Yuan's figure moved and directly jumped into the center of the vermilion bird. With a flap of her wings, she directly became 20 meters in size. Too strong. Today the Holy Medicine Immortal sect is completely finished. The surrounding immortal gods and other experts looked shocked when they saw the two terrifying creatures, dragon and phoenix, attacking the flat territory. Even if I die today, I will drag one of you down with me. Despair. Jianghu was in complete despair when he saw this scene. The flames on his body dyed the entire sky red. The scene of the flames burning the sky could be seen within a radius of 100 kilometers. Fight to the death. Wang Xian and Feng Yuan saw the aura emitted by Jianghu Tuesday. There was no expression on their faces. They moved and attacked instantly. Dragon roar. Phoenix cry. Roar. Chirp. Chirp. Two terrifying flames were spat out from Wang Xian and Feng Yuan's mouths. Flames versus flames. Jianghu waved his arms and the terrifying fire pillars on his arms met the flames directly. He blocked the flames with a cold gaze. Roar. At this moment, Wang Xian moved his body and flew toward Jianghu. He swung his sharp metal dragon claws forward. Volcanic descent. Jianghu waved his arms with an embarrassed expression. In an instant, a terrifying flaming mountain formed in the sky. The flaming mountain smashed towards Wang Xian rapidly. Phoenix feather. Feng Yuan shouted softly. With a flap of her wings, feathers flew towards the volcano. The feathers rotated slowly. It was beautiful and looked like a flaming flower. The phoenix feathers landed at the bottom of the flaming mountain and entered it directly. Boom. In an instant, the flaming mountain erupted into the surroundings. Jianghu's expression changed drastically as he looked at Wang Xian who was attacking him. His arm turned into a huge flaming arm in an instant. The flaming red arm crossed in front of him to block his attack. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. Wang Xian's eyes revealed a hint of disdain. His sharp metal dragon claws easily penetrated the flaming red palm and clawed at his body. Ah! His eyes were wide open. With a loud roar, the flames on his body were retracted into his body. His entire body was like a lava stone that had existed for tens of thousands of years. Is it useful? Wang Xian's eyes were like torches. A dazzling golden glow was emitted from the dragon claws. The terrifying golden glow penetrated the dragon claws and clawed towards his body. Jianghu retreated backward with an embarrassed expression. Crack, crack. The dragon claw touched his arm and produced a cracking sound. Hiss. Instantly Jianghu's forehead was filled with cold sweat. His entire arm fell downwards like a rock. Boom. His arm landed on the ground. The area within a few thousand meters of the ground was charred black. Awe. At this moment, screams of pain could be heard from the surroundings. There was more than one scream. An old man was pierced through the chest by a lightning spear. A middle-aged man was entangled by a flood dragon. A red-haired old man was hit by Ao Chitian's ocean-pacifying divine needle and fell heavily to the ground. An old woman was torn into two pieces by Ao shrimp's pincers. All the surrounding immortals and gods looked at this scene with complicated and even fearful expressions. I'm not reconciled. Jianghu turned his head when he heard the screams. His eyes were instantly filled with blood and his face was filled with despair. The experts of the Dragon Palace had killed the immortals and gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. Not a single one of them had died. They were not even seriously injured. He regretted it so much. Chapter 8:13. Chapter 8:13 came to an end. Bang bang bang. On the battlefield 10,000 meters high in the sky, the terrifying invincible divine dragon used its dragon claws, dragon tail, and dragon flames to attack the burly old man. Behind the divine dragon, the vermilion bird that was emitting terrifying flames blocked every attack that the burly old man released. The flames that were filled with spirituality easily neutralized every attack of the old man. The old man's arms had completely disappeared, and terrifying cracks appeared on his body. In order to prevent the powerful attacks of the divine dragon, he could only turn his body as hard as volcanic rocks to block the terrifying dragon claws. Transforming into a body of lava was the most powerful defensive technique of their immortal sect, and also a life-saving battle technique. However, it was easily defeated. The tall and sturdy old man's heart was filled with despair. In the surroundings, a world-destroying battle erupted. The entire battlefield affected an area of 20 to 30 kilometers in the sky that was 10,000 meters high. However, at this moment the area of the battlefield was rapidly shrinking. Immortal gods fell from the sky one after another. Every immortal god that fell to the ground erupted with a terrifying energy storm. The ground below had been covered by a sea of fire, forming a fire domain. It's over, the holy medicine immortal sect is completely finished. The immortal gods of the two immortal sects are going to be completely destroyed. In addition to the experts being killed, the strongest experts of the two immortal sects aren't even at the infant realm. The holy medicine immortal sect is completely finished. The Dragon Palace will become the strongest immortal sect in the Jianghu. The surrounding immortal gods and experts were numb with shock as they spoke slowly. In the sacred city below, many disciples of the two immortal sects couldn't see the battle in the sky clearly. But after hearing the screams of the immortal gods and the corpses that fell from time to time, they already knew the result. The immortal gods that they were so proud of were being killed and slaughtered. I can't accept this. I can't accept this. All of you die. At this moment, the red light in the air intensified. A wave of heat directly rushed downwards. The terrifying temperature even caused some trees to wither rapidly. Be careful. He's going to use up all of his blood essence and transform it into the most powerful attack. Feng Yuan, who was standing at 1,000 meters away, saw a terrifying red gas coming out from the top of Jianghu's head. A vigilant look appeared on her face as she warned Wang Xian loudly. I will transform into a volcano and erupt with the strongest fury. Jianghu shouted loudly. His voice was filled with determination. Supreme, no. No. The few remaining celestials around were horrified as they shouted loudly. Boom, boom, boom. However, just as their voices rang out, waves of terrifying flames spewed out from the top of Jianghu's head. It was as though the flames of life had covered an area of 30 to 40 kilometers. At a height of 10,000 meters, it was as though a space had split open and a flaming domain had appeared. Bus, bus, bus. Wang Xian's body shook as he transformed into a flaming divine dragon and activated the dragon pearl. Come over here. Wang Xian hovered in the air. The members of the Dragon Palace immediately came to the space where he was hovering. Chirp chirp. Feng Yuan also let out a cry. She flapped her huge wings and controlled the terrifying flame and lava that erupted from the flat land. He was like a huge volcano that had been dormant for thousands of years. Once it erupted, it would unleash an earth-shattering attack. Dodge, dodge. Around him, the immortals and powerhouses who were relatively close to him quickly fled into the distance. The terrifying attack of a superior immortal would be affected even if it was in the surroundings. This was a suicidal attack and an ultimate attack to attack the immortals and gods of the Dragon Palace. Unfortunately, the flames that the Dragon King and the Vermilion Bird released were not inferior to the flat territory. The two of them worked together and completely blocked the terrifying flames. Reborn from the flames. At this moment, Feng Yuan's body suddenly moved and flew toward the location of the flame lava. She flapped her wings and began to quickly absorb the flame lava. The flames contained the Jianghu's essence blood, which was a huge tonic for Feng Yuan. There are 3 more, kill them all. Prime Minister Gui's voice sounded, and then the immortals of the Dragon Palace moved. The 3 immortal gods were easily killed by them. When the last 3 screams rang out, the entire world finally quieted down. At this point, the 12 immortal gods from the Saint Medicine sect had all died. None of the members of the Dragon Palace were severely injured. It was a huge crushing victory. Roar! Wang Xian roared, this is the fate of the Saint Medicine sect. He moved and flew towards the holy city. The members of the Dragon Palace immediately followed behind him. Wang Xian reverted to his human form and hovered above the holy city. He looked down at the disciples of the 2 sections. When they saw the Dragon King and the group of immortals standing in the air above them, everyone in the holy city was terrified. What is the Dragon King trying to do? Don't tell me he is really going to destroy everyone from the 2 immortal sects. The surrounding immortals were slightly shocked and looked over in astonishment. Dragon King, you guys killed our 2 immortal sections. What else do you want to do now? An old man raised his head in anger and stared at Wang Xian and the rest in the sky. They deserve to die. Kneel down. Kneel down. Wang Xian roared with a face full of coldness. His aura instantly spread to the area below. In the holy city, the expressions of the two disciples and their families changed drastically. "It's impossible to make us kneel down." A young man raised his head and roared at the sky with a face full of anger. Bang! However, just as he finished his sentence, he spat out a huge mouthful of blood and died on the spot. "Kneel down. Don't make me repeat myself for the third time." Wang Xian's expression didn't change as he stared at everyone below and shouted with a dignified expression. They were disciples of the two great immortal sections. Now that they were defeated, it was already merciful of them not to kill them directly. However, they had to pay a little price for their past mistakes. Bang bang bang. In an instant, the expressions of everyone in the holy city changed drastically. Some of them were kneeling on the ground, followed by many others. "Even if I die, I will not kneel to the enemy." A young man's face was filled with grief and indignation. Then, in an instant, he was killed by the terrifying pressure. Everyone's expressions changed drastically. They hurriedly knelt on the ground. They lowered their heads and their faces were extremely embarrassed. A thick wave of powerlessness surged into their hearts. They originally thought that today the Holy Medicine Immortal sect would exterminate the Dragon Gate and shock the entire Jianghu. But they did not expect that all the immortal sects and gods would be killed and they would have to kneel in front of their enemies. A deep sense of powerlessness surged into their hearts. From now on, the world would have no Holy Medicine Immortal sect. Chapter 8:14. Chapter 8:14, The Aftermath of. From today onwards, there will be no Holy Medicine Celestial sect and no Holy Medicine Celestial sect in Jianghu. In the holy city, tens of millions of people were kneeling on the streets. Wang Xian, who was hovering in the air, announced with a cold face. All the disciples and family members of the two great celestial sects trembled. At this moment, no one dared to speak. If they dared to resist, they would be killed immediately. The Dragon King would not show any mercy. In fact, both parties were hostile forces to begin with. It was reasonable to kill them. Therefore, they did not want to die. They could only kneel in the sacred city and did not dare to move. Search for all the treasures in the two immortal sections. Take everything that is of value and make up for the loss of the Dragon Gate forging workshop. Wang Xian ordered Prime Minister Gue and the other members of the Dragon Palace. It's the Dragon King. The group of immortals moved and flew towards the mountain gates of the two immortal sections. As the two immortal sects with deep foundations, their resources would definitely exceed Wang Xian's imagination. The number of herbs they planted might not be as much as that of the natural-born immortal sects, but it would definitely not be much less. Their resources were sufficient to make up for the losses they had suffered previously. Wang Xian floated in the sky and waited for the members of the Dragon Palace to search. 10 minutes later, Prime Minister Gue and the rest flew out from the Gate of Immortality. Prime Minister Gue even controlled a herbal field within a radius of 10 kilometers. In the sacred city, everyone knelt on the ground without daring to get up. They didn't even dare to breathe heavily as they waited quietly. "Let's go." Wang Xian moved his body and flew towards the Dragon Palace. The group of celestial beings from the Dragon Palace immediately followed behind and flew towards the Dragon Palace. Only after Wang Xian and the rest left did some people in the entire sacred city dare to stand up slowly. They looked at the figures that had disappeared and heaved a heavy sigh of relief. At the same time, there was a look of worry on their faces. In the future, the world will be at the selfless Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine Immortal sect. Where should we go from here? An old man looked up to the sky and said with a face full of worry. Some other people also stood up silently and walked into the room. They were the losers of the battle. They had provoked an existence that they shouldn't have provoked. A powerful immortal sect instantly declined. They had brought this upon themselves. The distant immortal god also watched this scene quietly. His gaze looked towards the sacred city as his gaze flickered. Let's accept the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect. The Shen Yuan clan and the Yuan clan looked at each other and slowly nodded. Although the experts of the two immortal sects had all died, there were still many experts at the dance stage. Moreover, there were only benefits and no disadvantages in accepting them. At the same time, this was considered a pretty good home for a disciple of an immortal sect who had been exterminated. However, at the same time, the battle on the Jianghu website had shocked everyone. The battle between the 30 immortals and gods resounded throughout the two Jianghu websites. Even in the sky, most people could see this shocking scene. The attacks were as shocking as meteors hitting the earth. The terrifying flames and the screams of the immortals and gods caused people's scalps to go numb. Luckily they were fighting in the sky. If they were on the ground, their battle could destroy several provinces. Several provinces are a bit exaggerated. The most important thing is that the Dragon Palace is too powerful. They are completely overpowered. If they were evenly matched, the destructive power would be great. However, the Dragon Palace is too powerful. For the past 2 days, the disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect have been clamoring that they would destroy the Dragon sect. However, the Dragon King has led the experts of the Dragon Palace to directly destroy them. They can't be arrogant now. The 2 disciples of the Holy Medicine Immortal sect knelt in the city for half an hour without daring to move. It is already a blessing that the Dragon King did not kill them. They have humiliated the Dragon King on the Jianghu internet. There is no longer the Holy Medicine Immortal sect in the world. The Dragon Palace will rise to the top of the Immortal sect. No one would have thought that the most powerful sect in the world was not the Immortal sect that came from the secular world, but the Dragon Palace, which used to be a force in the Jianghu. The strongest person in the Jianghu is undoubtedly the Dragon King. The Dragon King is able to transform into a divine dragon, which is somewhat similar to the bloodline cultivation in the West. It must be because the Dragon King got a great opportunity and obtained the divine dragon bloodline that his cultivation speed is so fast. On the Jianghu website, the disciples of the immortal sects were discussing on the internet in amazement. The impact of this great battle on the Jianghu was too great. The death of 12 immortal gods, including 1 upper immortal and 3 middle immortals, shocked everyone. After the end of the war, the Dragon Palace had become the most powerful force in the pugilistic world. And the Dragon King was the most powerful force in the pugilistic world. Dragon King, we have obtained a lot of good things this time, especially the spiritual herbs and elixirs. There are a lot of them. There are even grade 9 spiritual herbs. Prime Minister Gue came to the Dragon King's hall in the Dragon Palace and reported to Wang Xian with a smile on his face. Move all of them to the herb garden. In addition, place the corpses of the immortal gods from the 2 immortal sects at the Dragon Pond and absorb them. Try your best to nurture a few more immortal gods. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne with a smile on his face and said to Prime Minister Gue, "It's the Dragon King. He should be able to nurture 5 to 6 immortal gods." Prime Minister Gue said with a smile on his face. "Okay." Wang Xian nodded and swept his gaze across the surrounding members of the Dragon Palace. Currently there were 16 immortal level members. It wouldn't be long before there would be more of them. Amo Qinglong. The old devil is here. Continue to build the Dragon Gate Forging Workshop. The workshop will continue to open for business within 3 days. Wang Xian ordered Amo Qinglong. "It's the Dragon King." Amo Qinglong replied respectfully. The Dragon Gate Forging Workshop still needed to continue to be built. With this forging workshop, the resources obtained would be able to increase the number of immortals in the Dragon Palace by at least a dozen. "This is your Dragon Palace." At this moment, a surprised voice was heard. Wang Xian turned his head and looked at Feng Yuan. At this moment he was looking at his surroundings with a face full of surprise. His eyes were burning as he stared at the ancestral tree. Currently there were 3 branches on the ancestral tree: the soul-returning wood, the eternal wood, and the tree of servitude. Each of the branches was extremely mystical and exuded a powerful energy. The eternal wood, the legendary divine wood of the vermilion bird tribe. The eternal wood. Phew. Feng Yuan took a deep breath and looked around. This Dragon Palace of yours is similar to the legendary Dragon Palace on the supernatural continent. Could it be that you have obtained the inheritance of the dragon tribe on the supernatural continent? Wang Xian smiled gently and did not speak. He did not know how strong the dragon tribe on the supernatural continent was. However, he had obtained the invincible divine dragon system. It was definitely not something that the dragon tribe on the supernatural continent could compare to. So many incredible abilities. Feng Yuan was shocked. She raised her head and looked at the huge koan in the sky. She frowned slightly. This Dragon Palace was simply too mysterious. Wang Xian did not disturb her. He called Prime Minister Gue over and began to settle some matters. Chapter 8:15. Chapter 8:15, half a year. Time passed day by day. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed in the boiling battle between immortals and gods. During this half a year, the Dragon Palace had completely spread its name throughout the entire Jianghu. Any immortal sect that was famous would be afraid of it. Moreover, when the Dragon Gate forging workshop opened for business again, it was built in the cities under the immortal sections. It was completely not built in the real cities. As for the Longmen forging workshop, it completely monopolized the business of medicinal pills and refining weapons in the entire Jianghu. In just half a year's time, Wang Xian had obtained a terrifying amount of resources. Name: Wang Xian. Race: 5 elements divine dragon, able to transform into a human. Level 9. Dragon energy: 94,03421/10, 000000000. Supernatural ability: ruling the water tribe that is lower than one's own level. Devouring creatures to extract dragon chi. Control of the 5 elements. Cultivation method: divine dragon transformation. Fire refining technique: using the fire of origin to refine everything. Water refining technique: using the water refining technique to refine things for fun. Battle skills: water clone, elementary; blade storm, intermediate; instant water, elementary. In half a year's time, I've increased 100 million dragon chi. I'm still short of 50 million to completely break through. According to Feng Yuan, after my strength breaks through, my realm will be extraordinary. According to the realms on the extraordinary continent, I'm not at the immortal realm at all, but the rebirth realm. Above the rebirth realm I'll be extraordinary, above the transcendent realm I'll be at the profound void realm, and above that I'll be at the longevity realm. According to Feng Yuan's estimation, the creatures on Earth at present can only cultivate to the extraordinary realm at most. Above that, the resources on Earth can't reach it at all. During this half a year, if I don't distribute the resources to the members of the Dragon Palace, I should be able to achieve a breakthrough in my strength. Wang Xian mumbled as he looked at his attributes. His mind was full of thoughts. In this half a year, not only did Wang Xian's strength improve tremendously and he was on the verge of a breakthrough, even Lan Qingyue and Xiao Yu's strength had also improved tremendously. Now, Lan Qingyue and her first Kuan had already broken through to the immortal realm. The moment they broke through, they immediately possessed the strength of a middle-level immortal. This was especially so for Kuan, whose body size had reached about 150 meters. It was truly terrifying. In addition, Xiao Yu, Elder Fan, and Sun Lingxiu had also broken through to the immortal realm. Only Tang Yinshen had only reached the half-step immortal realm. Apart from the few girls, the strength of the entire Dragon Palace had also increased tremendously. With all kinds of medicinal pills and the energy from the corpses of the immortal gods of the Holy Medicine Immortal Sect, the entire Dragon Palace had increased by 11 immortal gods in half a year. For appeared in the Strange Thorn clan, Ao Yeka had advanced to the immortal god realm, 2 appeared in the Devil Monkey clan, 2 appeared in the Golden Swordfish clan, and 2 appeared in the Strange Prawn clan. There were 11 immortal gods. Including the previous 16, there were a total of 27 immortal gods in the Dragon Palace. If Wang Xian, Xiao Yu, and the others were included, there were a total of 34 immortal gods. 34 immortal gods. This was definitely a terrifying strength. In addition to the immortal gods, the number of half-step immortal god realm experts in the Dragon Palace had increased by more than 80. The number of infant realm experts had reached more than 700. In the past half a year, the Dragon Palace had not only obtained medicinal pills and metal materials, but also a large number of spirit stones. These spirit stones could increase the speed of cultivation. It was also because of this that the members of the Dragon Palace could break through so quickly. With the current strength of the Dragon Palace, it was highly possible for them to destroy 4 to 5 top 10 immortal sects at the same time. The increase in the strength of the Dragon Palace was equivalent to the increase in the strength of Wang Xian. Therefore, he sacrificed some resources to the subordinates of the Dragon Palace. Dragon King. At this moment, Prime Minister Gue and Ao Yao came to the Dragon King's hall and greeted Wang Xian respectfully. Speak. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne and spoke in a dignified manner. For the past half a year he had basically been in the Dragon Palace. The Dragon Palace was currently built in the 4 major divisions. The Demon War Division was in charge of combat, Ao Qitian was in charge, and the Demon Monkey Clan was in charge. The Thunder Division was in charge of the Thunder Prawn Clan, which was also the Strange Prawn Clan. They were in charge of combat and Ao Qi was in charge. The Dragon Guard Division was in charge of the Yiksha Clan, which was in charge of patrolling and defending, and Ao Yiksha was in charge. The Dragon Spur Division was in charge of the Strange Demon Clan, which was in charge of assassinating and gathering information. Apart from the four major divisions, there was also a Dragon Guard, which could also be called an internal expert. They mainly followed Wang Xian. The Dragon Guard was a Golden Swordfish clan, and Ao Jian was in charge. In addition, there were two more special positions, the Maid and the Guard of the Palace of Dragon King. The Maid was in charge of organizing some of Wang Xian's things. Ao Shi was in charge of the duties similar to that of a young eunuch. In addition, they also had some subordinates who were in charge of the flowers and plants in the Dragon Palace, guarding some places. The entire Dragon Palace had already established a preliminary and perfect order, and the civil servants that Prime Minister Turtle had trained had also been completed. It seemed that the turtles in the Dragon Palace, who were carrying turtle shells on their backs, were enlightening the creatures of the Dragon Palace and teaching them some knowledge. Dragon King, our Ao monster clan, has thoroughly explored the sea area within 1,000 kilometers. There are 3 immortal-level creatures in the black area on the map. One of them is a giant snake that is a superior immortal with 9 heads. At the red area on the map, there are 2 immortal-level creatures. In addition, in the Pacific Ocean deeper in the map, there are many giant squid species. Ao Yao reported to Wang Xian. Compared to the past, Ao Yao had a cold expression. Although he was very intelligent, he did not know how to handle many things. Under the teachings of the civil officials, Ao Yao was now able to take charge of his own affairs and possessed his own powerful intelligence. Upon hearing his report, Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. The resources in Jianghu were getting lesser and lesser. Wang Xian set his sights on the ocean. He had roughly investigated the ocean in the past. Now, he was officially sweeping across the ocean to build an invincible underwater dragon palace. Furthermore, Wang Xian had to start devouring and advance to the Transcendence realm as soon as possible. Alright, bring along the Demon War Division, Thunder Division, and the 5 supernatural beings. We will sweep the area closest to us. Wang Xian pondered for a moment and ordered them. It's the Dragon King. Brother. At this moment, Xiao Yu ran in and shouted at Wang Xian. What's wrong? Wang Xian waved at them and looked at Xiao Yu with a smile. I'm going out tomorrow. Let's go out and play. Xiao Yu walked over. In half a year's time, the little girl was becoming more and more graceful. What? Are you going on a date with that Feng Ling Tian? The corners of Wang Xian's mouth curled up as he asked with a smile on his face. What? There are many of us here. Brother, don't make wild guesses. Xiao Yu's face was slightly red as she said hurriedly. All right. Go. Let one of the guards of the golden swordfish follow you. Wang Xian said dotingly. There's no need. I've already broken through to the immortal realm. Furthermore, I'm your younger sister. Who would dare to provoke me? Better safe than sorry. Chapter 8:16. Chapter 8:16. Western Celestial Domain. Dragon King, Mo Qinglong requests an audience. After Xiao Yu left, Ao Shi walked into the Dragon King's hall and greeted him respectfully. Enter. Wang Xian waved his hand and Mo Qinglong immediately walked in. Dragon King, I have something to report. Speak. Regarding the Western Celestial Domain 2 months ago, according to the information we received, the Western Celestial Domain's celestials frequently appeared in search of resources. Now they are cooperating with the Wuxia Celestial sect. The other party has a huge demand for medicinal pills. Currently we are in contact with them. Hopefully we can reach an agreement. Mo Qinglong reported to Wang Xian. The Eastern Immortal Sect and the Western Domain of the Gods were the 2 largest cultivation systems on Earth. At the same time, they were also the 2 most powerful forces on Earth. In the past, the East and the West occupied half of Earth. The 2 forces were evenly matched. The powerful forces in the world were known as the Divine Sects, which also continued the name of the Western continent. However, there was still a big gap between the Divine Sects in the world and the real Divine Domains. The reason why the Divine Sects were called the Divine Sects was because they were a sect, and the Divine Domains were a domain. In this domain there was not only one god. If the divine domains entered the vision of the Wuxia immortal sects, it was still related to the Dragon Palace. Half a year ago, the great war between the Dragon Palace and the Holy Medicine Immortal sect had completely shaken the entire earth. The experts of the celestial domain had come to inquire about the news. Since then, it was the first time that the immortals and the celestial domain had come into contact with each other. In the following period of time, the immortal sects and the celestial domain would occasionally contact each other. It was only half a month ago that the puppet immortal sect and the Greek ancient celestial domain had completed a cooperation. The Greek ancient celestial domain had ordered a batch of puppet items from the puppet immortal sect. The Western celestial domain could be considered to have completely entered the eyes of the immortal sections. In the past 2 months, the Western divine realm had been in frequent contact with the celestial sect. There were cooperation and disputes between the two major powers. However, there were not many disputes and no celestial immortals were involved. Let's give it a try. If we can form some cooperation with the Garden of Eden divine realm, it will be very beneficial to us. Wang Xian nodded. There's another matter. The Wuxia sect and the Western divine realm are cleaning up the powerful factions one by one. Mo Qinglong continued to report to Wang Xian. Oh, cleaning up the factions? What factions? Wang Xian asked in surprise. A group of immortal sects are preparing to clean up the other powerful factions in the subcontinent's domain. Meanwhile, the Western powerhouses are cleaning up the non-mainland factions and plundering resources. At the same time, they are also dividing up the territories and re-establishing the faction from 1,000 years ago. Mo Qinglong's eyes flickered as he spoke. Re-establishing the faction from 1,000 years ago? Wang Xian was deep in thought. In the past, the immortal sects controlled a large portion of the subcontinent's domain while the divine domain controlled a portion of the European continent's domain. The two major factions knew about the existence of each other. However, they did not interfere in each other's affairs. Now that the immortal sects had been reclusive for 1,000 years, it was time for them to rule this continent once again. Furthermore, by wiping out the other factions, they would be able to obtain a huge amount of resources. The various immortal sects wanted to use war to raise their strength quickly. Don't worry about them. We can just expand the sea area. Wang Xian smiled slowly. In order to develop, the various immortal sects wanted to conquer other powers in the world. Meanwhile, the Dragon Palace wanted to expand their territory in other sea areas as well. After Mo Qinglong's report, Wang Xian returned to the Dragon King's bedroom. Xiao Xian, we are planning to go to Sister Agaya's place for a few days tomorrow. Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue and the other girls said when they saw him walking in. Alright, you guys go ahead and have fun. Coincidentally, I have some matters to take care of. After staying in the Dragon Palace for half a year, the girls were also a little bored. Wang Xian was very relieved when they went out. With Guan Shuqing around, even a superior immortal could easily suppress her. Feng Yuan's strength was even more terrifying. After absorbing the blood essence of Jianghu, even Wang Xian was no match for her when she took control of her body. However, before I leave, hee. Wang Xian laughed and pounced on her. Can't you be a little more shameless? Elder Fan and Tang Yinxian rolled their eyes at Wang Xian. They exchanged glances and walked out of the Dragon King Palace immediately. Guan Shuqing, Lan Qingyue and the others were also speechless. The next morning, Wang Xian arrived at the east gate of the Dragon Palace in front of the group of girls. Behind him were Ao Qitian, Ao Qi, Ao Yao, Prime Minister Gui, and Ao Jian, the 9 dragons. At the same time, there were a group of immortals in their clan. Apart from Wang Xian, there were a total of 22 immortals. Apart from the group of immortal gods, there were also powerful members of the Dragon Palace, 500 nascent realm and 40 half-step immortal gods. Today we will occupy the sea area in the east. Wang Xian moved and jumped onto a dragon carriage at the side. The so-called dragon carriage was made of beast bones and grade 12 metal materials. There was a dragon chair on it and Wang Xian sat on it. The 9 dragons moved and came to the front. Their bodies moved and formed 9 green ropes that were pulled on the dragon carriage. The Imperial Emperor personally led the expedition. Let's go. Wang Xian shouted softly and the 9 dragons rushed to the front. A group of members from the Dragon Palace followed behind and headed toward the sea area near the island nation. The sea area under the control of the Dragon Palace was about 500 kilometers in radius. After conquering that sea area, the Dragon Palace's territory would increase by about 200 kilometers. The 9 dragons were riding. In the Dragon Palace's territory, the aquatic creatures saw them and immediately respectfully made way for them. This was their king and all the aquatic creatures had to obey him. This was the first thing they needed to understand after they had gained intelligence. It was also the first thing the civil officials of the Dragon Palace taught them. Wang Xian and the rest of them moved very fast. The 9 dragons swayed their bodies while more than 500 creatures followed closely behind. They were riding on the dragon carriage and were extremely domineering. The Dragon King has arrived. The sea area is right in front of us. Ao Yao Yao's voice sounded after half an hour. He pointed to the front and said respectfully. Wang Xian nodded his head and looked around. The speed of the 9 dragons had completely slowed down. There is a special energy in this sea area. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows slightly and sensed the surrounding sea water with a puzzled expression. This energy was filled with corrosive and radioactive properties. Some weak creatures would undergo some changes if they stayed here for a long period of time. Prime Minister Gue said that this was due to the nuclear radiation, causing some changes in this sea area. However, the radiation energy is corresponding. Some creatures will die under the radiation energy, but some will evolve. This is also one of the reasons why the creatures in this sea area are stronger. There are 2 species here. One is the snake species, the Hydra domain. There are 2 immortal level existences in the Hydra domain. One is a Hydra, and the other is a 5-headed snake. The second species is a killer crab, a 15-meter-long killer crab. Ao Yao looked at Prime Minister Gue and said to Wang Xian. Chapter 8:17. Chapter 8:17, Crab General. In the Hydra territory, the Hydra possessed the strength of a superior immortal. This was an extremely terrifying race. However, with the strength of Wang Xian and the rest, they could completely surround and annihilate it. By devouring this Hydra, his strength would be able to immediately complete the first transformation of the divine dragon. First, subdue or destroy the race of the killer crabs. Ao Yao, you lead the way. It's the Dragon King. Ao Yao moved and directly rushed to a position on the left in front of him. Everyone followed behind him. Soon Ao Yao stopped and vigilantly stared at the position in front of him. The sea here was about 4,000 meters deep. At the bottom of the sea was a sandy land. Under the sandy land there were huge holes. Some of the holes were 2 meters in size, some were 5 meters in size, and some were 7 to 8 meters in size. Beside these holes there was a plant that looked like a cactus. The plant was black in color and looked like a poisonous substance. It emitted a black glow. This is the place. Ao Yao looked at the Dragon King with a solemn expression. He said, Dragon King, these killer crabs are hidden in the hole. The hole is very deep and their attack speed is very fast. They will arrive in an instant. Moreover, the black plant beside them will stick to its body when it comes into contact with it. It has a strong corrosive effect. Are there many killer crabs in the infant stage? Wang Xian's gaze swept across the area in front of him. Within a radius of more than 10 kilometers, there were densely packed caves. It was no wonder that there were very few creatures in this area. There are quite a few. There should be a few dozen of them. Ao Yao replied. A few dozen? Wang Xian smiled and said, Let's attack. Leave it to us. Upon hearing Wang Xian's order, Ao Qi moved his body. 3 members of the Thunder Shrimp clan, Ao Qi, leaped up. The 3 immortal-level odd shrimps raised the hammers in their hands at the same time. Lightning spread. The hammers of lightning in their hands emitted a lightning glow. Streaks of lightning condensed on them. Crackle. The hammers of lightning landed heavily on the ground. Streaks of lightning spread forward and spread across an area of 10 kilometers in an instant. The entire sandy ground turned blue. Splash. In an instant, the sound of flowing water could be heard from the ground. Claws that emitted black light crawled out of the hole, and the limbs of the killer crab that had furry and sharp thorns crawled out. The killer crab had 10 limbs, and each of its limbs was a terrifying weapon. However, the killer crab that crawled out now had 10 legs supporting its body, and it seemed like it was about to dance as it trembled. Tens of thousands of killer crabs crawled out from the pit and were performing a break dance. The scene looked extremely comical. SSSS. At this moment, a strange sound was heard. Wang Xian looked over and saw a huge killer crab crawling out from the pit in the middle of the pit in anger. It had 10 legs that were 20 meters long and each leg was 1 meter thick. However, what surprised Wang Xian was that his left leg was completely different from his right leg. The right leg was like a sharp sword shaped like a sword. The left leg was like a piece of bamboo. At the end it was a sphere. It was as if the right leg could be used to fight, and the left leg could be used to support it. Let me destroy it. The belligerent Ao Qitian moved his body and attacked the killer crab directly. Walala. The cries of the leader of the killer crabs caused the killer crabs to slowly surround and attack him. Their legs were trembling as they looked at Wang Xian and the rest. Ao Qi revealed a faint smile. He waved the hammer of lightning in his hand toward the sky. Bolts of lightning instantly appeared in the middle of the water. The other 2 immortal-level thunder prawns also waved their hammer of lightning. A bolt of lightning entered the sand once again. The group of killer crabs that had not reached the immortal level started to dance. This scene was very amusing. Bzzz. The leader of the killer crabs saw the look of his subordinates, and his face revealed a furious expression. He stared at Ao Qitian with cold eyes, and his body stood up straight like a human. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One by one, the limbs that were like weapons attacked Ao Qitian. Go to hell, you little crab. A monstrous demonic flame rose from Ao Qitian's body, and his figure became about 8 meters long. The sea-pacifying needle in his hand directly smashed toward one of his limbs. The killer crab looked like it was 20 meters long, but in fact, it was mainly the length of his 10 limbs. His body was only about 2 meters long. Bang bang bang. However, when the sea-pacifying needle smashed toward it, the 4 limbs of the killer crab directly responded. One was like a sword and the other was like a rod. They crossed and blocked Ao Qitian's attack. Then the other 6 weapons attacked Ao Qitian directly. 6 20-meter-long weapons attacked at the same time. It was as if 6 people were attacking at the same time. Ao Qitian could not block them at all. Roar. Ao Qitian roared. Dark red scales covered his entire body. Dense demonic chi surrounded his body and blocked the killer crab's attack. Pa pa pa. However, the killer crab's body attack frequency was very terrifying. Without breaking through the defense, it attacked again more than a dozen times in an instant. Ao Qitian's hands wanted to stop it, but he was entangled by the other 4 limbs. Hiss. The killer crab suddenly kicked backward, leaving a 1-meter-long wound on Ao Qitian's body and blood flowed out. The most terrifying thing was that the fresh blood quickly turned black. It was poisonous. This terrifying killer crab had a terrifying speed. Roar. Ao Qitian roared to the sky, and dense demonic chi entered the wound directly. The huge wound healed at a terrifying speed. This killer crab's attack is so strong. It's a kind of sword, a kind of cross attack like a soft stick. It's like the 2 mace in ancient China, and the mace is like a whip. There was a hero in ancient China who used the 2 mace, and 1 weapon in each hand would have a great advantage in battle. However, the killer crab is equivalent to 10 weapons attacking at the same time, and even Ao Qitian is at a disadvantage. Furthermore, the limbs of this killer crab are similar to that of the bone dragon. It doesn't have any elemental attacks, but it is extremely tough. It can withstand the attacks of the ocean-pacifying divine needles. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. This killer crab was indeed very abnormal. Its limbs were already so terrifying even without any elemental attacks. If he were to take it in as his subordinate, he would definitely be able to defeat it. Wang Xian was intrigued. In the legends, there were shrimp soldiers and crab generals in the Dragon Palace. Now that there were shrimp, this crab could be taken in as well. If he allowed them to cultivate the demonic dragon transformation and develop towards the direction of the bone dragon, they would definitely become a powerful subordinate. There was a terrifying race in the universe, the insect race. They dominated with their terrifying numbers and powerful physical bodies. The form of this crab general was similar to that of the insect race. Chapter 8:18. Chapter 8:18, Taming. The insect clan was a locust in the universe. Their most terrifying aspect was their reproduction energy. When their numbers reached a certain level, they could even devour a planet. Secondly, the leader of the insect clan had a terrifying battle form, possessing powerful physical strength. The Gu originated from the insect clan. Thinking about the terrifying Gu, one could understand the terror of the insect clan. The killer crab was similar to the leaders of the insect clan who had terrifying battle forms. If they cultivated the divine dragon transformation, they would definitely become a powerful battle clan that was not weaker than the demon war department. Roar, roar, roar. At this moment, a roar was heard. Ao Qitian's eyes were blood red, and the ocean-pacifying divine needle became 50 meters in size. He held the ocean-pacifying divine needle with both hands and swept it towards the killer crab. Pok, pok, pok. The killer crab's 5 limbs, which were like maces, coiled around the ocean-pacifying needle. Ao Qitian's eyes were filled with fury. He smashed the ocean-pacifying needle toward the ground. Boom! A terrifying force landed on the ground at the bottom of the sea. In an instant, sand filled the sky and filled the entire sea area. At this moment, Wang Xian realized that the 10 limbs of the killer crab had all shrunk back into its body. Its 2-meter-sized body was like a turtle. How did it shrink all 10 limbs back into its body? Wang Xian was stunned for a moment. Then he realized that the ears of the demon monkeys could hold the ocean-pacifying needle. When some creatures reached the immortal realm, they would evolve a special ability. Apparently, the killer crab had also evolved a similar ability. Bang! The killer crab that landed on the ground was not injured at all. It opened its mouth. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. A sharp sound was heard. In an instant, the surrounding killer crabs rushed toward the leader of the killer crabs. Wait and attack. Wang Xian saw that Ao Qitian wanted to attack and immediately stopped him. He moved and came to Ao Qitian's side. He stared at the leader of the killer crabs curiously. The actions of the group of killer crabs were a little strange. However, what surprised Wang Xian even more was that a 3-meter-long killer crab came to the leader of the killer crabs and entered its body directly. That's right, it entered its body. Following that, the killer crabs ran over and entered its body directly. Regardless of whether it was 3 to 4 meters or a dozen meters, they easily entered the body of the killer crabs. Mother insect. This reminded Wang Xian of a leader of the insect race who could carry other insects. The killer crab in front of him could actually do it as well. This made Wang Xian exclaim in surprise. In just a few minutes, there are thousands of killer crabs. Impressive. Wang Xian's eyes lit up. He had to subdue this killer crab race. Not to mention its powerful attack power, even its ability to carry so many items made Wang Xian's eyes light up. Even if he had to subdue it and use it to store items, it was totally worth it. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes slightly and his body shook. A terrifying energy directly covered the killer crab's body. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, a group of members from the Dragon Palace flew to Wang Xian's side. More than 20 celestials stared at the leader of the killer crab coldly. In an instant, the leader of the killer crab was a little dumbfounded. It raised its head and stared at Wang Xian and the rest with its 2 eyes. Around it, the killer crabs were also lying on the ground in fear. With the might of more than 20 celestial beings, even the leader of the killer crabs was trembling in fear. Surrender or die. Wang Xian sized up the red killer crab with a smile on his face. His cold voice was transmitted into its mind. The leader of the killer crabs moved a little. One by one, its limbs slowly appeared. Following that, it quickly dug into the ground, trying to burrow away. Prime Minister Jianghu saw that an immortal-level cultivator was trying to dig into the ground to escape. He waved his arm and the rich soil energy fell directly into the ground. The sand began to condense and became extremely solid. The 9 dragons swayed their bodies and circled above the leader of the killer crab. In an instant, the leader of the killer crab laid on the ground. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. When the message of surrender came, Wang Xian showed a satisfied look on his face. Dragon blood essence wave directly fell on the head of the killer crab leader. Bzzz bzzz. Dragon blood essence fell on the head of the killer crab leader. It was a little terrified of the disturbance, eyes twinkling staring around. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. At this time, a thunder spear fell in front of him. 3 killer crabs in the body directly penetrated it. Ao Qi and the 3 lightning prawns stared at the leader of the killer crabs with lightning flashing in their eyes. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The leader of the killer crabs immediately absorbed the divine dragon's blood essence. Dragon King. A voice entered Wang Xian's mind. Wang Xian revealed a smile on his face. His body moved and landed directly in front of the killer crab. The killer crab that didn't extend its limbs was only 2 meters in size. Its body wasn't very big. Wang Xian touched it with his hand. It was very hard and had lost its attributes. However, his body was even sturdier. Killer crab, level 13. Talent, space of the netherworld. Space of the netherworld. The netherworld stone is the material used to refine spatial items. Furthermore, the space hidden in his talent can still store living things. Wang Xian looked at the information of the killer crab and revealed a smile. Take your people. We're going to Hydra territory. Wang Xian said to the killer crab. Bzzz bzzz. Suddenly, the face of the killer crab showed a look of fear. It kept saying to Wang Xian. What? Are you saying that Hydra is too scary to mess with? Wang Xian heard the killer crab leader's words, slightly frowned and asked. CICICICICI. The leader of the killer crabs nodded and kept talking to him. Cunning, wise, powerful, and terrifying. How many thousands of years has that Hydra lived? Wang Xian received these messages from the killer crabs and smiled. The intelligence of this leader of the killer crabs was at most that of a 7 or 8-year-old child. In his opinion, the terrifying enemy was merely powerful. As for the cunning and intelligence, even an adult's IQ could deceive the leader of the killer crabs. You don't have to be afraid with us here. Wang Xian patted the leader of the killer crabs on the head and imparted the cultivation method of the demonic dragon transformation to it. The main thing is to forge the bones and cultivate in the direction of the bone dragon. Wang Xian reminded it and continued, bring your clansmen and we'll go over. Bzzz bzzz. The leader of the killer crab cried out, and tens of thousands of killer crabs swam towards him, lining up to enter his body. Seeing the last killer crab enter, Wang Xian was amazed again. Go, subdue or destroy the Hydra. Wang Xian said to Ao Yao. The Dragon King. Ao Yao nodded. Wang Xian sat on the dragon chair of the dragon carriage. The 9 dragons rode on it and flew towards the Hydra's position once again. Wang Xian did not know that this would be the first time he was facing a powerful creature that was as intelligent as a demon. Chapter 8:19. Chapter 8:19. Battle of Dragons and Snakes. The Sea of Snakes was the name given to the sea ahead by the killer crab Ao Crab, because there were countless snakes there. The area of the Sea of Snakes was about 100 kilometers in radius. In this 100 kilometers, it was the territory of the Hydra. In this area, and even the surrounding area, were all within the jurisdiction of the Sea of Snakes. Because the killer crabs were tough bones, the snakes could not digest them, so the killer crabs could survive nearby. Otherwise, they would have already entered the snake's stomach. Dragon King, we have already entered the area of the Sea of Snakes. We have to be careful. As soon as they entered the area of the Sea of Snakes, Ao Crab said to Wang Xian in a panic. Wang Xian nodded his head and swept his gaze forward. In the sea area ahead, he could see sea snakes every few hundred meters. Among them there were not only sea snakes. He even found some powerful terrestrial venomous snakes. Some snakes were 2 to 3 meters long, but there were also snakes that were more than 10 meters long. Some of the snakes had triangular heads, and some of the venomous snakes had sharp teeth that were exposed to the air. There were all kinds of colors. Looking at them, it was enough to make one's scalp tingle. Why are there venomous snakes on the land? There are even some shui mang among them. Wang Xian frowned slightly and revealed a look of surprise. This place could really be considered a sea of snakes. Many of the snakes were very weak and had not even reached the innate level. However, there were also powerful pythons, weird 2-headed snakes, and even 3-headed snakes. These mutated snakes were all very powerful. Let's continue. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings. There were many sea grasses at the bottom of the sea. Some snakes were hidden within the sea grasses, and their colors were the same as the sea grasses. Hiss hiss hiss. Seeing Wang Xian and the rest coming over, some snakes stuck out their tongues and made a special sound in the water. Soon, this sound was heard continuously in the surroundings as if it was a special signal. Wang Xian looked at the snakes that were spitting out their tongues curiously and sized up this strange sea of snakes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as they were advancing a few thousand meters forward, suddenly, from the undergrowth at the bottom of the sea, dozens of strange snakes that were about 10 meters in size attacked them directly. Each of the 10 snakes had the strength of the Dan stage. Waves of venom shot towards them directly. Crackle, crackle. The sound of thunder and lightning was heard. A few infant stage members of the Thunder Shrimp clan released bolts of lightning and struck the 10 snakes directly. After the 10 snakes died, the dense cries of the snakes were heard again. Moreover, the cries were even louder than before. Continue. Wang Xian was puzzled. The surrounding snakes were merely making their cries. He could not understand what they meant. They kept walking forward at a slow speed. Bus, bus, bus. When they were about 10 kilometers ahead, suddenly, a stream of black poisonous liquid came from all directions. The poisonous liquid entered the water and turned the surrounding seawater into poisonous liquid. The poisonous liquid surged towards them and surrounded them slowly from all directions. Bus. At this moment, a strange demon's figure moved and a bright energy swept out in all directions. Although the strange demon was not good at healing with light, the energy carried by the light attribute was still very effective against poison. Furthermore, it was the light emitted by an immortal god. As the light swept past, all the poison disappeared. The Sea of Snakes is filled with danger. It's very dangerous. Ao Crab looked around vigilantly and said to Wang Xian, "Advance." Wang Xian looked at the snakes that were screaming again. He was astonished. The attack from the 10 snakes and the venom was obviously premeditated. In other words, the snakes in the Sea of Snakes were ambushing the intruders. If that's the case, this Hydra is indeed extraordinary. Wang Xian looked around. The venomous snakes that were ambushing them earlier left quickly. They were organized and disciplined. This was definitely not something an ordinary immortal creature could do. Wang Xian had seen many immortal creatures before. Perhaps the ones with the highest intelligence and the most experience were the immortal creatures from the wild beast immortal sect. Most of the other celestial beings that he had encountered were as intelligent as Ao Crab. They definitely did not understand so many things. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Just as Wang Xian and the rest continued to move forward, the sound of water breaking could be heard. Wang Xian looked up and saw a dense cluster of poisonous fangs attacking them. In front of them, more than 100 poisonous snakes that were emitting a cold aura were staring at them. Each of the poisonous snakes was 15 meters long and lined up neatly. They had black bodies and pitch-black teeth. What they had attacked earlier was the venom that they had released. The venom was like teeth and was filled with penetrating power. 10 of them are in the infant stage. The rest are all in the Dan stage. Wang Xian sensed their strength and his eyes sparkled. Destroy them. Ao Qiqian waved his arm and the group of demon monkeys attacked the 100-plus snakes in front of them. Roar kill. The group of demon monkeys moved and attacked the venomous snakes with terrifying attacks. The 100-plus venomous snakes were nothing in front of the demon monkeys. One by one, the demon monkeys easily cracked the bodies of the venomous snakes. The two of them were on completely different levels of battle. Could it be that there are more powerful attacks waiting for me ahead? Wang Xian revealed a curious expression. The snakes that were ambushing them were getting stronger and stronger. This time there were even 10 infant stage powerhouses. 10 infant stage snakes were sufficient to deal with many intruders. This is. Just as Wang Xian and the rest continued to walk forward for about 10 kilometers, they approached the center of the Sea of Snakes. At the bottom of the sea, a pitch-black semisphere was formed. It was a semisphere that was enveloped by black venom. If one wanted to enter it, one had to pass through the black venom. This venom is like a good formation. It used the venom to form a defense. It's really smart. This Hydra is really smart. After layers of defense, only immortal-level creatures can enter it. Wang Xian's face was filled with admiration. If they weren't so strong, they would have died halfway. Could there be an even stronger existence waiting for us behind this venom? Wang Xian guessed in his heart. His eyes were flashing with red and blue light. Something's not right. This is not a layer of defense. The area ahead is filled with venom. In other words, there's a sea of venom within a radius of at least 10 kilometers. The Hydra should live in the sea of venom and establish its own territory. Even if a powerful immortal god was able to barge in here, they could forget about killing him. There was absolutely no mistake. The Hydra had established a perfect defensive space. Chapter 820. Chapter 820, Battle of Dragons and Snakes 2. No wonder Ao Crab said that the Hydra is cunning, wise and cunning. Just the layers of defense in this sea of snakes can tell the wisdom of the Hydra. The Hydra must have discovered our arrival by now. Wang Xian thought to himself. He looked inside with his penetrating eye. The thick poison blocked his vision. He could only vaguely see the mountains inside. Inside the mountain peak there were poisonous snakes living inside. Wang Xian even saw more than 10 titan pythons that were more than 20 meters long. Prehistoric creatures, titan pythons. This. At this moment, Wang Xian vaguely heard the sound of the tongues of snakes from inside. An incomparably huge snake swam out from a mountain peak. 1 head, 2 heads, 5 heads, a total of 5 heads. A hint of surprise flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. In his blurry vision, numerous huge snakes were gathered around the 5-headed snake. This should be the 5-headed snake that Ao Yao and the rest have detected. It has the strength of a middle-level immortal. Are there some lower-level immortals other than the 9-headed snake and the 5-headed snake? Wang Xian was a little uncertain. This sea of snakes was not simple. If there were only 2 immortal-level creatures he would not dare to believe it. They are ambushing us. Wang Xian could not help but sigh at their wisdom when he saw the huge poisonous snakes entering the soil. However, these toxins and ambushes are useless to us. Wang Xian revealed a cold smile and stood up. Enter the area. Prime Minister Gue, seal the ground directly. Ao Qi, attack the ground with lightning. It's the Dragon King. Prime Minister Gue, Ao Qi and the rest nodded their heads. After entering the poison zone, the poison in the area wasn't too harmful to them. Attack. Wang Xian shouted coldly. Prime Minister Gue's turtle shell was covered in a burst of earthy yellow light. The light spread to the front at a speed visible to the naked eye. The entire ground was as solid as steel. Crack, crack. In an instant, 3 thunder hammers landed heavily on the ground. The terrifying thunder and lightning penetrated the ground. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the area. 70 to 80 infant stage creatures were killed by the thunder and lightning. Damn it! Who dares to trespass into our Lord Ba Qi's territory? The sudden attack caused the 5-headed snake that was entrenched on the mountain peak not far away to reveal a look of shock. It roared loudly. The human language, the Japanese language? The 8-headed snake? Wang Xian revealed a look of surprise as he stared at the 5-headed snake. I am the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. I want the 8-headed snake to come out and submit to me. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? You are the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace in China? The 5 heads of the 5-headed snake were exactly the same. A human-like shock could be seen in their blood-red, cold eyes. Ha! Wang Xian was even more surprised. This undersea creature actually knew his name. The 8-headed snake is the mythical beast of the island nation. Not only does this 5-headed snake know the human language, but it also knows its own name. In other words, it interacts with humans. A creature from the sea interacts with humans. This is really unexpected. Wang Xian was thinking about the myths and legends about the island nation. The 8-limbed snake was rumored to have 8 heads and 8 tails. However, there were clearly 9 heads here. It should be the evolution of the 8-limbed snake and the addition of an extra head. The 8-limbed snake in the myths could change the color of the world. Presumably, the current 8-limbed snake would be even more terrifying. It should not be something an ordinary superior immortal could deal with. Call your master 8-limbed snake over. Wang Xian looked at the 5-headed snake and said coldly to it. This 5-headed snake only had a huge tail. Its entire body was about 50 meters long, and each of its head was 20 meters long. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace, what are you doing trespassing my 8-limbed snake territory? When Wang Xian had just finished speaking, a head with 2 to 3 meters long blood-red pupils extended out from a huge mountain peak 5 kilometers in front of him. It stared at Wang Xian coldly. The head that was revealed was about 7 to 8 meters in size. One could imagine that this 8-limbed snake was about 100 meters in size. The language of China? Upon hearing his words, Wang Xian was shocked again. You actually know the language of China and even know that I am the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. Haha, I am the god of the 8-limbed snake, the supreme god. I naturally know about the Dragon King. The terrifying head scanned the surroundings of Wang Xian. He closed his eyes and heaved a sigh of relief. The 8-limbed great god, the supreme god. When Wang Xian heard the words of the 8-limbed great snake, he thought of the gods in the west. Different from the gods of the immortal sects in Wuxia, The powerhouses in the West liked to deify themselves. They claimed that they were omnipotent and established a divine sect to develop believers. Other than the descendants of the gods, the rest were all disciples and servants of the gods. They served the gods for generations. The hierarchy was strict. This eight-limbed snake was obviously imitating the Western powerhouses. It proclaimed itself as a god, established a divine sect and had divine servants. There should be some believers in the island nation. Wang Xian stared at the eight-limbed snake with a solemn expression. This was an extremely intelligent and powerful undersea creature. Furthermore, it had its own power. This was the first non-human creature that Wang Xian had encountered that was filled with intelligence. Since you know about me, you should submit obediently. Wang Xian flew up from the dragon throne and transformed into the body of a divine dragon. He stared at the eight-headed hydra coldly. Dragon King, I am the supreme god. Is it possible for me to submit to you? I, Ba Qi, have lived for more than 2,000 years. I have witnessed the vicissitudes of history and the rise and fall of our country. It is impossible for me to submit to you. Furthermore, you do not have the qualifications to make me submit to you. Dragon King, I advise you to leave this place. A hint of viciousness flashed across the eyes of the Ba Qi serpent as it roared in a deep voice. Since I am here, how can I leave this place so easily? All the water tribes in the world are my subjects. All the water domains in the world are the domain of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian revealed a dignified and domineering expression as he stared at the eight-headed hydra coldly. How could he leave? Even if this eight-headed hydra was as intelligent as a demon, even if its strength had reached the level of a superior immortal, Wang Xian was still unafraid. With the strength of the Dragon Palace, it was more than enough to subdue and even destroy the eight-headed hydra. Wang Xian was not sure if his current force was invincible in the entire earth. However, he was still confident that he could be one of the best. Dragon King, I, the eight-limbed snake, am not someone to be trifled with. Boom, boom, boom. The eight-limbed snake let out an angry roar when it heard Wang Xian's words. In an instant, heads shot into the sky one by one. The 9 heads were 50 meters long from the top of the 1,000-meter-tall mountain. Flames. Black flames emerged from its mouth. Black flames were dancing in its blood-red eyes. This is demonic flame magic attribute. Chapter 821. Chapter 821, Battle of Dragons and Snakes 3. Out of the 9 heads, the one in the middle was the largest. It was different from the 5-headed snake. The 9 heads of the 8-headed snake were slightly different. Some of the heads were decayed as if they were corroded by a powerful poison. The 9 heads were all emitting terrifying demonic flames. In this area surrounded by the green and black poisonous water, the 8-headed snake was like a world-destroying snake. Wang Xian moved his body and attacked Ba Qi at a terrifying speed. The rest of the members of the Dragon Palace also moved. Among them, 3 flood dragons attacked the 5-headed snake directly. Damn it, Dragon King, let's fight one-on-one if you have the guts. When the 9-headed snake saw nearly 20 immortals attacking him, including the Dragon King, a superior immortal, its eyes revealed a hint of embarrassment. One-on-one. If you lose in a one-on-one fight, so what? Wang Xian's face turned cold. The 6 flood dragons immediately came to the opposite position and blocked the Hydra's route. If I want to escape, you can't stop me. The 3 heads stared at Wang Xian's position while the rest of the heads scanned their surroundings. Their blood-red eyes were sparkling. Unless you hide on land, you won't be able to hide in the ocean. A cold smile appeared on Wang Xian's face as he stared at the snake and said in a deep voice, I really didn't expect your Dragon King's influence to be so strong. Half a year ago you only revealed 18 immortals. Now you have more than 20 of them. The 8-headed snake glanced at the members of the Dragon Palace with fear in its heart. If you submit to me and join the Dragon Palace, I can spare your life. Wang Xian stared at the 8-headed Hydra and said coldly, Don't even think about it. How can I, the 8-headed Hydra, become someone else's subordinate? I am a god who is high and mighty. The 9-headed Hydra's huge head twisted and opened its largest mouth. It roared in unison. Since that's the case, kill. Wang Xian moved his body and a terrifying flame quickly condensed in the air. He attacked the 8-headed Hydra directly. Among the gods, I am invincible. The head in the middle roared loudly. One of the heads on its left opened its huge mouth and a stream of black liquid met the flame directly. Sizzle, sizzle. sizzle. The sound of burning could be heard. Wang Xian's expression did not change as he flew over directly. Boom, boom, boom. At this moment, the mountain under the 8-headed hydra cracked open. Numerous terrifying tails swept toward Wang Xian directly. The 9 tails came with an intense whistling sound and arrived in an instant. Wang Xian raised his dragon claws to meet them. Earth shields appeared around his body to block the attacks of the other tails. Crackle. Boom, boom. At the side, streaks of lightning emitted blue rays in the pitch-black poisonous water space. Ao Qiqian and 2 demonic monkeys of the immortal level turned the ocean-pacifying divine needle into the size of 50 meters and smashed it towards the 3 heads. Hiss hiss hiss. A corroded tongue moved, and the entire area of black seawater suddenly surrounded the lightning. Bzzzt bzzzt bzzzt. A scalp-numbing sound was heard, and the bolts of lightning were actually corroded by the poisonous liquid. Hiss hiss, this is my territory. Here, I can unleash 150% of my strength. Dragon King, I advise you to get out of our territory, or else I'll start a massacre. The cold voice of the corroded head rang out. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. However, what responded to it were white shadows. 5 white shadows appeared at the position of its body, and a terrifying claw directly cut open its huge skin and flesh. The 5 white shadows left 5 10-meter-long wounds, each of which was about a meter deep. Roar. Damn it. The 2 heads let out an angry roar. The surrounding venom surged toward the spot where they were injured. The wounds healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. What? Ao Yao and the 4 subordinates were shocked. What a terrifying recovery ability. Wang Xian squinted his eyes slightly. His dragon claw grabbed a tail that was swinging toward him. Crack, crack. The powerful and sharp dragon claw slowly penetrated one of the 8-headed dragon's tails. Roar. The 8-headed dragon was in pain. Its 9 mouths were wide open and could easily swallow an elephant. The terrifying demonic flames attacked them directly. Demonic flames were different from flames. Demonic flames had the effects of corrosion and poison. Coupled with the surrounding poison, the demonic flames were even more powerful. However, the current Wang Xian was almost at the peak of the upper-level immortal. Furthermore, he was a divine dragon of the 5 elements. Water blast wave. Wang Xian's body trembled. The seawater outside surged violently as he rushed towards the area of the poison. I have used a formation to seal this area. It's wishful thinking if I want to disperse the poison here. I'm practically an immortal being here. Bachi didn't care about the injuries on his body at all. He was 100 meters tall and had 9 heads. It would be extremely difficult to kill him. Furthermore, with his life force he could definitely exhaust his opponent to death. The powerful seawater rushed over but the poison didn't leak out at all. Wang Xian frowned slightly. He didn't expect this hydra to know about formations. You won't die? Let's see how you won't die after I've absorbed all the venom here. Wang Xian's body moved for a while, and his entire body slowly turned green. With a wave of his dragon claw, seeds were sprinkled around him. 10,000 poison seeds. 10,000 poison seeds were a bunch of precious seeds obtained from the Holy Doctor and Holy Medicine sect. These seeds were also used by wood attribute cultivators to fight. The sect of Holy Medicine and Holy Medicine had a few immortals who mainly used poisonous trees to attack with various poisonous plants. The 10,000 poisonous seeds were one of them. The more toxins they absorbed, the stronger they would be. The dense azure dragon energy entered the seeds directly. The 10,000 poisonous seeds grew at a terrifying speed. In just a short second, thousands of white vines that were thousands of meters long appeared in the surroundings. The venom in the surroundings had obviously become much thinner. Damn it. The blood-red pupils of the 8-headed snake changed. 5 of its heads instantly attacked Wang Xian. Hee. He shouted coldly. Numerous poisonous vines were rapidly wrapping around the 8-headed snake. Get lost. Its 2 tails met the dense vines directly. Pa pa pa. The vines were soft and coiled around the body of the 8-headed snake. Would fire mass concealment. Would fire mass concealment was a combined battle technique of the 2 great immortal sections. When the 2 fused together, it could unleash twice the amount of terrifying attacks. Hong. In an instant, raging flames burned. The most terrifying thing was that the burning flames of the vines crazily drilled into the body of the 8-headed snake. Ah, bastard. Ba Qi let out a miserable cry and twisted its huge body. The terrifying flames were burning at the bottom of the sea, covering its three tails. Under the siege of the members of the Dragon Palace, the four heads could only defend passively. The remaining heads and tails that were fighting against Wang Xian only had 60% of their peak combat strength. The gap between them and Wang Xian was too big. Chapter 822. Chapter 822, Battle of Dragons and Snakes 4. The gap was too huge. Divine dragons were already top-notch existences of the same level. Wang Xian was also a rare divine dragon of the 5 elements. Even though the 8-headed dragon was gifted, he could still be easily suppressed. Poison explosion. The 8-headed dragon's body was burning with flames. It was suffering from the attacks of lightning, wind blades, earth spikes, and strange demons. It twisted its body in anger. It opened its mouth and spat out balls that were half a meter in size from its stomach. Water shield. Wang Xian's expression did not change. A huge shield appeared in front of him. Crack, crack. The water shield cracked instantly. Black poisonous arrows shot towards him. The black poisonous arrows were extremely terrifying. They were filled with the power of corrosion. Earth shield. Wang Xian waved his dragon claw and another 20-meter-sized earth shield appeared in front of him. Ah! At this moment, a scream came from the side. An immortal-level thunder shrimp was hit by a poisonous arrow, and his entire arm turned dark green instantly. As expected of the superior immortal-level octahedron, even with such a huge gap, it can still cause damage to the members of the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian spat out the wood dragon bead and the fire dragon bead. Kill? The wood dragon bead revolved rapidly around the fire dragon bead. The dense green dragon aura caused the flames on the fire dragon bead to smash toward the 8-headed hydra as if it had added an accelerant. Bang! A tail swept toward the fire dragon bead. Roar! The fire dragon bead let out an angry roar and suddenly turned into a huge dragon head. The dragon head bit on the tail. In just a short moment, more than half of the tail was bitten off. Ah, damn it, 9-headed snake shadow. 8-headed hydra was in pain again, and its eyes were filled with madness as it shook its body. The surrounding venom surged crazily towards it, and one after another, demonic shadows that looked exactly like him appeared and attacked the surrounding area. Boom, boom, boom. The earth shook and the mountains shook. Even in the ocean of 5,000 to 6,000 meters, the entire seabed was like an earthquake, and the powerful 9-headed snake shadow covered the surrounding area. The demon shadow was covered with corrosion and venom. Release your defense behind me. Prime Minister Gue shouted softly, and the turtle shell on his back flew directly in front of him. The turtle shell instantly grew to about 20 meters, and the members of the Dragon Palace arrived behind him one by one. The wind shield, the dense demonic chi, the gate of lightning, and the ring sword defense set up powerful defenses in front of the turtle shell. Bang, bang, bang. The demonic shadow attacked, and the terrifying attack penetrated through the layers of defense. Wang Xian also built up layers of defense in front of himself. Kill? Clang? The water dragon pearl transformed into a water sword and attacked one of the heads. Destroy. One of the heads opened its huge mouth, and thick demonic liquid gushed out from its mouth. With all kinds of negative attributes, it went up against the water sword. The water flow on the water sword kept on fluctuating. Streams of water energy blocked the demonic liquid. Whoosh! The water sword penetrated through and entered one of the heads. Sword explosion. Wang Xian shouted softly. The water sword instantly exploded into small pieces. Hiss, hiss, hiss. A horrifying scream was heard. One of the heads of Ba Qi was penetrated by countless water swords. Ah, Lord 8-headed snake, save me. At this moment, a scream came from the side. 8-headed snake turned its head and a cold glint flashed in its eyes. Ah ah. Sharp claws cut off the last 2 heads of 8-headed snake. Dragon King. The remaining 8 heads of 8-headed snake let out a low roar. Wang Xian smiled coldly and moved to the side of the 5-headed snake's corpse. He opened his huge mouth. Ding. Devouring the 5-headed snake has increased the dragon energy by 34 million. The system notification came. Wang Xian stared at the 8-headed snake with a hint of greed in his eyes. As long as he could devour the 8-headed snake, he would be able to level up immediately. When he saw Wang Xian's gaze, the 8-headed snake could not help but shiver. "Dragon King, just you wait," the 8-headed snake shouted. Under Wang Xian's astonished gaze, his huge body actually shrank and finally took on the appearance of a human. However, this human's appearance was very strange. He was holding a beast bone with a human head hanging on it. He had 9 heads and one of them was hanging high up. His body was extremely weak and every head had a middle-aged face. His face was long and thin and looked extremely strange. He even had 9 arms and looked like a monster no matter how one looked at him. After transforming into human form, the 8-limbed snake moved and dived into a mountain peak below. "Go after him." Wang Xian did not hesitate. Letting go of a superior immortal with such high intelligence would definitely be a future trouble for him. His eyes flashed with a blue and red glow. His gaze locked onto the 8-limbed snake's body as he followed closely behind. There are actually so many tunnels. What a cunning rabbit with 3 burrows. Wang Xian looked down and followed closely behind. The vengeful souls won't disperse. "Dragon King, are you going to kill them all as soon as possible?" Baqi's expression changed drastically as he roared loudly. "Surrender or die. You only have these 2 choices." Wang Xian waved his arm and a fireball shot towards him. At this moment they were in the underground tunnel. Baqi's expression changed slightly. With a wave of his arm he crashed into another tunnel at the side. With a wave of his arm, the tunnel collapsed immediately. However, Wang Xian's eye of penetration could easily penetrate through some soil and sand. He broke through and followed closely behind. Baqi's expression changed again. His speed was not slow, but he could not get rid of Wang Xian at all. The 9 dragons with the green dragon attribute could also follow behind and lock onto him. This made Baqi's expression extremely awkward. The power of the Dragon Palace was far beyond his imagination. "You want me to submit? Impossible." The 9 heads gritted their teeth and fled into the distance. Wang Xian frowned and followed closely behind the 8-headed snake. In terms of endurance, a dragon's patience was definitely not something that an 8-headed snake could compare to. "Little 9-headed snake, don't make me lose my patience. When I catch you, I will cut off your heads one by one." Wang Xian followed behind and spoke slowly. Escape? There was no way he could escape. Unless a superior immortal came over to help him. However, it was obvious that he didn't have a companion of a superior immortal. The 9 heads of the 8-limbed snake broke out in a cold sweat. Their faces were extremely pale. "I am a god. I have been roaming the world for 1,000 years. How can I submit to others? Even if I commit harakiri, I will not submit." "I didn't ask you to submit. I will devour you as soon as I catch you. After I devour you, I will be able to break through." Wang Xian followed closely behind with a smile. What a pervert. The 9 faces of the 8-limbed snake were extremely embarrassed. With a move of one of his arms, poisonous substances within a radius of 4 to 5 kilometers appeared. He sped up and rushed to the right. The 8-headed 9's actions were completely within Wang Xian's sight. He changed his direction and ignored the poison as he chased after it. "How did you still discover me?" A head was facing Wang Xian as he shouted in disbelief. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.